যদি সবাই ফিরে যায়, ওরে ওরে ও ভাগা সবাই ফিরে যায়, যদি গহন পথে যাওয়ার কালে কেউ ফিরে না যায়, তবে পথের কাটা তুই রক্ত মাখা চরণ তলে একলা দলরে, তুই রক্ত মাখা চরণ তলে একলা দলরে, যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে। যদি আলো না ধরে, ওরে ওরে ও ভাগা আলো না ধরে, যদি ঝড় বাদলে আধার রাতে দুয়ার দেয় ঘরে, তবে বজ্রানলে আপন বুকের পাঁজর জ্বালিয়ে নিয়ে একলা চলো রে, আপন বুকের পাঁজর জ্বালিয়ে নিয়ে একলা চলো রে, যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে। একলা চলো, একলা চলো, একলা চলো, একলা চলো রে।
Hi guys, thank you for joining the live stream. The Libertarian Party of India is back with us on a podcast for the third time. And again, we are going to discuss current affairs, the libertarian view for India, and we are going to discuss libertarianism with the audience. Audience is going to ask questions to the two members here, Anup Johnson and Tushar Kaushik. So hi, Anup and Tushar. Thank you for coming.
Hi.
Thanks for inviting.
Great to be
And
here.
we are going to keep up the tradition, rich tradition, and the history that's being created by Libertarian Party of India as the first party in the history of India to do unscripted audience interactions for hours at end. Okay, no one has done it in the history of India. And people who get pissed off with their answers or think that they are not being patient enough must realize that it's tough to keep that patience, which is why nobody else does it in the entire country. That's the point. So Tushar, first, what do you think of what's going on in the world, all the recent developments with update us on Argentina a bit, and then Kash Patel becoming the head of FBI and or national security, I forgot, and especially him saying that he's going to deport that famous Khalistani Canadian politician if he sets foot on USA, and then some libertarians saying that it means Kash Patel is compromised, and also Tulsi's visit to India. And then the news of the Polish politician saying that Narendra Modi convinced Putin of not using nuclear weapons. So take us through all of those pieces of news.
Should I continue in Hindi or English?
हिंदी में ही करते हैं. हाँ हिंदी में ही करते हैं.
ठीक है.
I'll change the settings of the channel also, of the live stream also to Hindi, so that I'll designate it as Hindi podcast only. Anup, you are comfortable, right?
Yeah.
चल ठीक है. Or Anup can do it in English and Tushar and I will do it in Hindi, no problem.
No problem. I'll do it in mixed of languages. No
Yeah,
problem.
cool.
तो
Okay, तो
अर्जेंटीना के W's खत्म ही नहीं हो रहे और अभी projected to grow at 5.5% this year है और credit rating constantly बढ़ती जा रही है और country risk lowest in 20 years मेरे ख्याल से और poverty rate अब जो कि 53% पे peak कर गया था अब 33% पे आ गया है और इन्वेस्टमेंट्स आ रही हैं. एडिशनली अर्जेंटीना को अभी ऑयल रिजर्व्स कुछ मिले हैं तो इस वजह से थोड़ा इकोनॉमी को और बूस्ट मिला है. तो उस पे मिले हुए आरोप लगेंगे कि देश बेच दिया इसने तो मगर ऐसा कुछ नहीं है और अर्जेंटीना के लोगों को ही फायदा हो रहा है इससे. जहाँ तक कैश पटेल की पॉइंट बात है तो वो थोड़ा मिक्स बैग रहा है. उन एप्स्टीन फाइल्स रिलीज होने थी वो नहीं हुई या मतलब रिडक्टेड रिलीज हुई है और थोड़े से अपना वो मतलब मिक्स्ड बैग ही रहा है. मतलब दोनों ही साइड भी ज्यादा कुछ खास कुछ है नहीं. देखो अभी तो टाइम ही कितना हुआ है, कंफर्मेशन अभी थोड़ा टाइम पहले ही तो आई है. तो अभी देखो क्या होता है. अभी मेरे ख्याल से ये भी उसी पॉलिटिक्स स्टैंडर्ड टैक्टिक होता है कि जब कुछ नहीं हो रहा हो या किसी चीज से डाइवर्ट करना हो तब कोई इशू लेके आ जाओ कि भाई अच्छा ये हो गया, मतलब कि कोई नॉनसेंस इशू जैसा इस वक्त यहाँ पे चल रहा है. तो
And
उस टाइम
yeah,
चीज होगा.
yeah. Now the age-old argument against not the age-old ever since Milei has become the president, the argument has been that his success is because he is USA's stooge, and USA is doing them favors, doing shenanigans, doing nuts and bolts things everywhere here and there, so that Milei is able to pull Argentina out of poverty. How much is it the
Not
credit
really.
of
I
market
mean,
schools, and how much is it USA's credit?
no, it's fully Javier Milei's credit only, because Javier Milei changed the world with that one speech that he did, and one of the first lines that he ever spoke about was the fact that he's not a politician. That was his main thing. He's not a politician. He's an economist. He's a liberal economist. So this is that sentence that really changed the world. I mean, in the sense that no longer are conventional politicians what a country needs to run it. You need like real people with knowledge, with people with idea of everything from financial system. So even in 2025, what I'm looking forward to is basically his further reforms into pension, his labor reforms, his privatization of a lot of public companies that are going to happen, the removal of a lot of capital controls that are going to happen, and a lot of these initiatives are going to almost double his labor market from 6.5 million to 14.5 million odd, which is kind of unheard of. And at the end of the day, he's opening free trade markets with everybody. So basically what he is doing, what Milei is doing, is he's implementing libertarian principles. That is what he's doing. He's libertarian. Forget libertarianism. He is implementing proper economic principles. Instead of having a central authority control everything, he's trying to liberate everything. And he's basically, when you talk about economics also, he's trying to bring in liberal economics. So that's a different aspect of economics. Everybody can do economics, but liberal economics is what he's trying to bring. And immediately, like after that speech that he first made, within a year, they were able to show results. So this has not happened in any other kind of political forum. So the USA has got nothing to do with it. He's opening the doors to everybody. And USA will have to sit and wait and watch, and everybody is starting to speak Milei's language. Nobody is, the Americans are not speaking the American language. They are speaking Milei's language. So this is what is happening. Those is kind of came only after that speech. They all came online only after that speech. So that is what Milei is doing.
Yeah.
So
Just like that. Yeah, go on.
जैसे मिले बार बार कहता है फिनोमेना बढ़िया, मतलब नेबरहुड फिनोमेना. डोज की इंस्पिरेशन मिले के एक्शंस ही हैं. और जब डोज टॉकिंग पॉइंट बन गया तो फिर दूसरी कंट्रीज भी कह रही कि हमारे पास भी डोज इस टाइप कुछ है, या हमें डोज टाइप की भी जरूरत है. तो स्टार्टिंग वहीं से हुई है.
अभी तो अभिषेक बनर्जी भी बोल रहा है कि इतने सारे टैक्सेस क्यों हैं, टैक्सेस कम होने चाहिए. और फिर बहुत लोगों ने बोला है कि हमने डोज पहले कर भी लिया था. एवरीवन वांट्स टू डू डोज नाउ. तो एक तो एक्यूजेशन है मिले पे कि वो यूएस का एजेंट है. एक एलिगेशन है कि लिबर्टेरियंस भी सीआईए के एजेंट्स है. तो क्या तुम दोनों सीआईए के एजेंट्स हो?
जैसे वो क्वेश्चन नहीं होता कि हैव यू स्टॉप्ड बीटिंग योर वाइफ. चलो हमारे मेरे केस have I stopped beating my girlfriend?
Yeah. If libertarians are CIA agents, we'll be the kindest CIA agents on the planet. Because we are saying, you make your decision, you have the power, you have the freedom to do it. So, at the end of the day, for us being CIA agents is nothing. Like we are basically trying to give the control back to the people. At the end of the day, you will not, in the Libertarian Party, you will not even know the name of the president. It will be running like someone who's just reducing our income tax file is still this big. We'll be tearing off pages from there and throwing it away. As and when we feel the need. So ultimately the government has to run on a very small book. So that's what we are trying to do.
Okay. Some interesting questions have come. Guys, I'm getting to your questions very soon. I'll just ask 2 or 3 of my questions. Now, one thing that people seem to have ignored what these two guys said both the times that they appeared on our podcast was that in the scenario that Libertarian Party of India is running the country, there's not going to be too much shift away from the current view of foreign policy. Okay, they don't have radical anarcho-capitalist vision for the country. Okay, and because they recognize that we have crazy people on our borders. So keeping that in mind, Tushar or Anup, isn't this fascinating? All of a sudden, what the kind of spotlight that Indian politicians, or mainly the Indian Prime Minister, is getting all of a sudden out of the blue. First of all, tell me if you have seen the Lex Fridman podcast with Narendra Modi. What did you think of it? And the very next day, that insane comment. It doesn't even matter if it's true or not. It matters that a Polish politician is saying that Narendra Modi convinced Putin of not using nuclear bombs, and obviously it has happened with the consent of Putin. That Putin knows that this Polish politician was going to do. So what kind of geopolitics is going on without us knowing? Putin, Poland, and Modi here. This is an insane alliance going on. So what do you think of these developments and the Lex Fridman podcast?
Lex Fridman मैंने bits and pieces देखे थे. मैं starting में देखा, ये तो नहीं कहूँगा कि full देखा था मैंने. मैं starting में जब तक कि पर्सनल स्टोरीज ही चल रही थी, फास्टिंग के बारे में बात हो रही थी, तब तक देखा था मैंने, एंड तक नहीं देखा. बाकी जहां तक इसकी बात है तो कुछ कह नहीं सकते आप इसके बारे में. ये तो आपको मानना पड़ेगा कि प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी का और इंडिया का स्टेचर तो इम्प्रूव हुआ है, मगर हमारी भी उसमें कंप्लेंट्स उनके अगेंस्ट फॉरेन पॉलिसी कंटेक्स्ट में ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, मगर डोमेस्टिक पॉलिसी है his over-reliance on बाबूडम, उस पे हमारी कंप्लेंट्स हैं. और उसके बाद फिर rather than taking tough decisions, वो buckle down कर जाता है, जैसे फार्म लॉज में हुआ, और जैसे फ्रीबीज वाला है कि मतलब आप उनको भी वो भी फ्रीबीज पे करें, इसके बजाय मतलब उनका इतना पब्लिक स्वे है तो उनको लोगों को कन्विंस करना चाहिए था कि नहीं इस डायरेक्शन में नहीं जाना चाहिए, मगर rather than being a leader he followed the crowd. तो उन चीज फिर तो कोई ऑल्टरनेटिव है नहीं ना, फिर हमने सोचा फिर हमें शुरू करना पड़ेगा. और वैसे भी बात ये है कि वो एक जनरेशन वो है जिसका फंडामेंटली गवर्नमेंट एज अ एंटिटी फॉर गुड में ट्रस्ट है. तो हमारा डिसएग्रीमेंट है कि गवर्नमेंट ये जस्ट अनदर बॉडी है मोस्टली, और गवर्नमेंट एज अ रेफरी ही एक्सेप्टेबल कि हाँ ये एक रेफरी है, गवर्नमेंट को गेम नहीं खेलना शुरू कर देना चाहिए फ्री मार्केट वाली.
Yeah, I think more about this. This is pure, like, it's marketing, right? I mean, like podcasts and things like that.
Yeah.
And for some reason these days the Americans seem to be taking a lot of interest in driving, because ultimately he is probably one of the biggest influencers, online, and there are like he did gain a lot of influence by being very active online and things like that, and he's probably more active than anybody, a lot of people that we know who is online. So whether he's typing all his statements or somebody else is doing it, it is online. He's there in a lot of these things, and I think it was like the Lex Fridman show also was a continuation of that. And at the end of the day, the issues still remain, the questions still remain, people still have doubts about things, and some people are much more in favor of that as well. So it's just that it answered nothing. It just tried to portray, I felt, sort of a very I'm a humble person side of a person.
It was a PR exercise, out and out.
Yes, it seemed like a PR exercise. That particular podcast, it did seem like a PR exercise. Some of the questions that, again, they were all skirted around, including the riots in Gujarat to everything else. It was all skirted on. Nobody really knows the truth at the end of the day on any of these issues. You're never going to know, and we'll all have to make our peace with all of these things. But and the statements like 1.4 billion people are behind him and all of that, that I mean, who can make that statement? Like, at the end of the day, they are not. Like, there is a reason why they are not. So addressing the people who are probably against certain of his ideologies also would have been a good thing to do, I felt.
I would like to disagree with you, Anup, on this one factor, on his answer on the riot issue. I think that was his best answer, because he set the entire specific riot in a context that many things were going on from the previous year, and then the Godhra train burning happens, and then the riot happens. So a lot of people, a lot of my leftist friends, including me when I was leftist, didn't even know that the train was burnt. and on as a retaliation of which the riot actually happened. So him putting that out on the international forum, I think,
I mean, like
was
at the
very
end of the day,
important.
it is again. I felt he said versus she said, and there's nothing he can also, I feel, do about it. Like that. That was one thing that probably he did that. Okay, offered a bit more light on the situation, but at the end of the day, there are going to be people who will be on two sides of this coin. So,
Yeah.
but at this point in time, it is what it is.
Yeah, and how much of this rise of India's stature internationally do you think is because of its economics versus whatever Narendra Modi has planned and interacted with the other politicians of all over the world? Which deserves more credit?
Facial interactions do
Economics,
work. Yeah.
economic growth कितनी 6 इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ तो स्टैंडर्ड 5-6% रही है, तो उसमें तो कुछ खास रोल है नहीं. तो
No economic
बाकी वो बात है,
reasons,
आप
because
$4 trillion इकोनॉमी हो तो कुछ ना कुछ तो आपका स्टैचर बनेगा. मगर
see,
थोड़ा
at the end of the day, the
personal
world
connection
is also the world is also playing a very good diplomatic game. At the end of the day, they also realize, hey, you can't make enemies of India, no matter who the prime minister is. Okay, so Tushar is the PM. What they can't make. They really cannot anger 1.4 billion people just like that by taking on the PM of India, whoever it is. It could have been even Manmohan Singh. Nobody took us on even at that time, right? Everything was nobody will take on a country of this size, especially when there are people contributing to their local economies as well from this country. So it is not just the Indians in India there are people in high places there as well, in multiple. You go to Mozambique in Africa, you'll find people in high places speaking Portuguese, Indians who then that's their first language there. So I don't think anybody can take on India just like that, because we are non-aggressive to a lot of extent. We are non-aggressive. And
सबसे बड़ा कंट्रीब्यूटर तो जो मतलब कि रशिया और इंडिया के अलायंस का है, वो इस वक्त 30% ऑफ 30 पता नहीं 40% ऑफ इंडियाज ऑयल परचेज इस वक्त रशियन है. तो और उतनी ही लगभग चाइना की है. और अभी ये देखा हो कि थोड़ा वो होने शुरू हो गए, थोड़े काम डाउन होने शुरू हो गए चाइना के साथ रिलेशंस. तो वो उसी वजह से है, जो रशिया, इंडिया और चाइना को जो ऑयल के बेसिस पे जो एक्सेस बन रहा है ना, तो फिर यूएस से कोशिश कर रहा है कि थोड़ा अपना उसको थोड़ा वेज डाला जाए उसके स्ट्राइक करने के लिए.
Yeah. This brings to my mind the question we were discussing yesterday also in terms of Bengal, how much partition and poverty affected Bengal's family values, especially in the Bengal community, people who were partition refugees. So how much do you think morality depends on economics of a place, or is morality divorced from economics? Can morality be divorced from economics?
It should be. I feel like it should be divorced
Morality
a bit from.
Should be. Can it be?
But
किसकी morality?
Yeah, that's also there. I mean,
societies, a group living in a certain place whose economy is either good or bad.
I mean, let me tell you, when anybody does business, you talk morality, you're losing the deal. So, like, you go try to sell a deal, and then you make fun of the clothes that the person who's going to give you money is having. I mean, like, where does that fit in? Doesn't fit in anywhere. Your morality is basically your contribution to your society, really, at the end of the day. Your family, your society, how you treat the people around you and all of that. So, I mean, that has to be inbuilt in you and your understanding and what you feel is your responsibility to society. At the end of the day, economics, you throw out that out of the window, and you just focus on the task at hand. Is how economics actually works.
Right.
मेरी तो आर्गुमेंट ये है कि मोरालिटी उसको शो करने, मतलब मान लो वो मानते हैं कि मॉरल बिहेवियर एक उसका कंपास है, मतलब कि थोड़ा एक्सेस एनर्जी एक्सर्ट करने का, ठीक है, मतलब कि थोड़ा वो लगती है, एफर्ट लगता है मॉरल बिहेवियर करने में. तो स्पेशली तो फिर उस तरीके से देखा जाए, जिस कंट्री में सरप्लस ही नहीं है, वो मॉरल कैसे बिहेव कर सकती है? वो तो फिर कैट्स एंड डॉग्स की फाइट में लगी रहेगी ना. मगर जिसके पास प्लेंटी सरप्लस है, वो जेनरस भी हो सकती है. जेनरोसिटी के बिना मोरालिटी कहाँ पॉसिबल है?
That's the point. Our friend YouTube channel is asking, can you divorce economics from politics?
Well, hello Nava. Good to see you ask a question here. So yeah.
Can you do?
Economics from politics, I feel it should be done
ये
like
मुझे
at
अगर
the end of the
सिंप्लीफाई करके देखा
day.
जाए तो हमारी बेसिक टास्क यही है कि इकोनॉमिक्स को पॉलिटिक्स से अलग करो.
See, economics should replace politics is what I would say. It should, like
Politics,
having a business team run the country is probably better because they will look at everything rationally rather than having politicians run it, because what are you lobbying for anymore? At the end of the day, the wheels are turning in terms of economics, right? Okay, funding is coming in, there's nobody stopping you. You can start any company you want with no regulatory compliance. Nobody is stopping you. Once you let's say there can be 50 schools in a small area, and consumers have a choice to pick which one they want their kids to be in. No problem. Languages not an issue. You choose. Hey, if you feel you want your kid to learn 10 spoken languages only, not even written, you can have a school that has a curriculum that will enable that. So spoken language is kind of more important than I feel written most of the time, and written is more difficult. So maybe you just, so everything can be tailor made to situations quite easily. There's no need for regulations. So you want a certain type of hospitals to be there. There could be like 10 or 15 different choices. You don't like one, you could go to the other. Here, by the time you start one facility, you're going to face a lot of issues if the government is the one who's going to be competing with the local private businesses. Like governments don't need to compete. Why should the government have any industry that competes with the fellow citizens of India, whose main aspect of making a living is through these businesses? So politics needs to be just based on governance. Like, okay, at the end of the day, ensure the peace is maintained, ensure good foreign policy is maintained, ensure that people have the right to sit in their garage and achieve whatever goal that they have to achieve. We will have lesser crime on the street because the people, it's easier to be more productive than go around, doing crime. Here, by the time you start a company, or by the time, have you tried closing a private limited in India? My God. So this is ridiculous. Like, how many lot of women also don't start these companies because they don't know. They are so scared of it. Like, what will I do? Oh, GST. Who will I? Here, what the hell? Remove everything. Say, okay, you want to start a company, put this name here and just start. Start your sewing business. Start your creative ad agency. Do whatever it is that you want. So enable everybody. Yeah. And ensure we play good referees. We have good systems to play good referees and say, hey, so divorce that completely. Like, politicians we don't no longer need politicians in the modern world. We need people who can run a country like a good business.
जहाँ पे जीरो सम गेम्स है ना, वहाँ पे हार्ड टसल्स और नाइफ फाइट्स तो चलेंगी. वो तो ऑब्वियस चीज है. जैसे बिजनेस में भी बात करें, रियल एस्टेट इंडस्ट्री वो है, थोड़ी जीरो सम गेम है. मतलब एक जगह आपको मिल गया तो लैंड तो लिमिटेड ही है ना. तो जीरो सम गेम जहाँ पे भी होते हैं वो इंडस्ट्री थोड़ी टफ कंपटीशन वाली होती है. तो वो तो रहेगा, मतलब कि मैन्यूवरिंग वगैरह तो चलेगी. मगर आपको गवर्नमेंट की प्रॉब्लम ही है कि गवर्नमेंट बस मोनोपोली ऑन वायलेंस है. तो वो जिस एरिया में कम्पीट करने में आती है, तो फिर किसी भी, हमारे केस में अगर इंडिविजुअल सेल्फ प्रोटेक्ट नहीं कर सकता खुद को, तो उसके पास कोई चांस नहीं है कि वो गवर्नमेंट के साथ कम्पीट कर सके. या तो फिर वो उनके साथ मिल जाए, जो क्रोनी कैपिटलिज्म हो गया जो, या फिर वो अपना शॉप शट डाउन करके चल ले. और स्लिपरी सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम ये है कि जो सोचते हैं ना कि अगर थोड़ा सा किया जा सकता है, थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लम ये है कि आपने अगर डोर खोल दिया तो उसको कोई पूरा भी खोल देगा और तोड़ भी देगा उसको. स्लिपरी स्लोप का चांस हमेशा ही रहता है. अब वेलफेयर ऐसे ही शुरू होता है. वेलफेयर पहले सबसे बॉटम स्टार्ट के लिए शुरू होता है, फिर करते 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 पूरा ऊपर सब इवेंचुअली सभी उसमें आ जाते हैं और सारी पॉन्जी स्कीम में फंस जाते हैं. तो आप पॉलिटिशियंस इस प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व नहीं कर सकते. अब रिसेंटली मैं एक एपिसोड देख रहा था उसका, लास्ट वीक टुनाइट विद जॉन ओलिवर का. उसपे स्पोर्ट्स बेटिंग में था. तो उसने बताया कि कंपनी क्या टैक्टिक्स वगैरह यूज करती हैं. एक जगह भी ये मेंशन नहीं है. और सारा सॉल्यूशन ना, मतलब कि डाल देगी
sorry I muted you by mistake.
तो हर जगह यही बात हो रही है कि अपना गवर्नमेंट ही सॉल्व करेगी इसको. गवर्नमेंट कुछ लॉ लेके आए, गवर्नमेंट को रेगुलेशन लेके आए. कभी
Yeah.
इस बारे में नहीं बात हुई कि किसी प्राइवेट पेयर को शुरू करना चाहिए कि जो एडिक्शन को कंट्रोल कर सके, या कुछ इस टाइप की ऐप लेके आए जिसमें ये प्रॉब्लम्स ना हो, लोग उसको यूज करें, कोई बेटर सोल्यूशन ना। इस बारे में इस डायरेक्शन तो ये तो इम्पॉसिबल है थिंक करना, मगर इस डायरेक्शन में कि भाई गवर्नमेंट क्या कर सकती है, उनको बंद कर सकती है, उनको हरास कर
Yeah.
सकती है, उस डायरेक्शन में हाँ है।
Yeah.
तो
The default assumption is that if a man is doing business or wants to get rich, he's definitely evil. Now let me ask you a socialist question here, or even the Gandhian socialist, very the misinterpretation of Hinduism kind of socialism as well. That why shouldn't we look upon someone trying to get rich as an evil person? Why does he want? Why does that selfish fuck want money for himself? Why doesn't he leave the money for everyone else and the poor people, the underfed people, to get prosperous with that same money?
I mean, like at the end of the day, why is India trying to become a $5 trillion economy then? If everything is hunky-dory and we all can sit and live in the mountains, why is that one of the biggest claim to fame from any government that comes here? Hey, we are a growing economy, we are a growing this, we are a growing that, and all of that. But at the end of the day, well, that's what money for a lot of people, including me, when I was growing up, I was like, why do you need money? All high and mighty about that. Like, we don't need money, we can live. But then you soon come to realize that, nothing is cheap. So at the end of the day, and the demands of the people around you as well, you have families, you have things like that, which add to peer pressure and all of that. So at the end of the day, yes, I would have loved to live in an economy where economy really did not matter. But hey, I mean, like things, if you had 100 rupees 30 years ago and you were happy with it, 100 rupees is a couple of biscuit packets today. So that's what we need to realize, that, hey, you need to utilize all your strengths as a human being, which is one is your morality as a strength as well, helping your economy, helping your community. And then you need to use your economic side of your brain as well to ensure that you can build creative things or sell creative things. Or, that is also an angle from your mind, right? Where you are able to do something that other people need and other people can buy from you, or you're part of a team that contributes to something that is growing gradually or quickly. You learn a lot more things by in the economic side of life as well, which a lot of people don't realize. I mean, like, you may sometimes feel only like a cog in a wheel of a major company, but ultimately when the product comes out, it could be something that could change people's lives, or it could be just a run-of-the-mill product that people are going to be using every day. Whatever it is, you need to leverage that economic side of your brain.
Yeah.
और
What do you?
सबसे
Yeah, go
पहले
on.
उस टाइम की जो बात है, मतलब उस टाइम पे वर्ल्ड जीरो सम गेम ज्यादा था, इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन इतनी हुई नहीं थी। तो उस टाइम पे उस टाइम पे ऑटोमेटिकली क्योंकि सारा कुछ ही उस पर डिपेंडेंट था, मतलब आप क्योंकि इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ उस टाइम सिर्फ 1% थी। 1% इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ का मतलब ये है कि अगर आप रिच हो रहे हो तो आप किसी के कॉस्ट पर रिच हो रहे हो, क्योंकि इकोनॉमी कुछ है ही नहीं। मगर अब तो हम अब दूसरी एरा में रह रहे हैं, हम इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ की एरा में रह रहे हैं। क्या कुछ फ्री मार्केट कैपिटल, मतलब फ्री मार्केट कैपिटलिज्म नहीं है, मगर हम फिर भी रिलेटिवली इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ वाली एरा में रह रहे हैं, जो हॉकी स्टिक ग्राफ है। तो जीरो सम गेम्स कम होती जा रही हैं। तो उसकी वजह से क्या हो रहा है कि सबसे पहला क्वेश्चन ये आता है कि कोई रिच होता कैसे है। रिच ऐसे थोड़ा ना होता है। उस टाइम तो रिच होते थे कि भाई अपने बाप दादा की अपनी जो संपत्ति है वो आपको इनहेरिट हो रही है, उस टाइप से आप रिच हो रहे हो। मगर अब आप रिच होते हो तो आप किसी को सर्विसेज प्रोवाइड करते हो, आप किसी को गुड्स प्रोवाइड करते हो, और वॉलंटरीली प्रोवाइड करते हो। आपको पैसा खर्च करना पड़ता है मार्केटिंग और एडवर्टाइजिंग में, ताकि आपसे कोई सामान ले सके या आपकी सर्विस ले सके। पहले नहीं होता था ऐसे, पहले वॉलंटरी एक्सचेंज नहीं होता था। अब वॉलंटरी एक्सचेंज वाली एज है, तो इस वजह से जो रिच हो रहा है वो कुछ ना कुछ बदले में दे के ही हो रहा है रिच। वो कुछ वैल्यू ऐड करके ही रिच हो रहा है, ऐसे ही रिच नहीं हो रहा कि भाई आगे बस हाँ मेरे बस कनेक्शन है हो गया रिच। वो वाले बहुत
Another
कम
thing is,
cases हैं।
people do realize that hey, you're getting rich because you're in sort of, how to navigate the game, the entire game that needs to be done. Let's say you have a factory that is selling some product in India, right? So right from the time of you shipping out these products to your customers from North India to South India, you'll be stopped probably on 4 times along the way for whatever it is. So everybody knows that, okay, you have dealings of some sort. So you're never going to get respect ever in this environment for being rich, because they know, everybody knows because you see it like right on the roadside where these trucks are parked. They're not parked for fun. So you're never going to get that respect, at least in this present economic condition in India, as opposed to whether you're rich or not. There's nothing can be done.
और दूसरी बात ये उस टाइम जब जीरो सम वाली गेम से रिलेट करते हैं, उस टाइम आप रिच हो रहे थे तो किसी कॉस्ट पे हो रहे थे, मगर अब आप रिच हो रहे हो तो आप दूसरों को पे करके रिच हो रहे हो. आप एनस्लेव नहीं कर सकते किसी को, आपको सैलरीज देनी पड़ती हैं, लोग काम छोड़ के भाग जाते हैं, आपको उनको रिटेन करना पड़ता है, आपको उनको मतलब आप खुद बिजनेस करके देखो, आपको पता चल जाएगा कि इट्स नॉट इजी टू बी रिच, इट्स नॉट एवरीबॉडीज एपेटाइट, और आपके पास रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी होती है, पैसा ऐसे हवा में नहीं आ जाता.
Yeah.
Do you know about Sanjeev Sanyal and Modi's thoughts on Doge and them trying to do Doge, and the recent news that they kind of already did a version of Doge by saving 11,000 crore rupees?
Oh.
I'm aware. I follow Mr. Sanyal's work, और वो मेरे को थोड़ा वो अच्छे लगते हैं मेरे को, मगर he is not directly involved, तो he has to work outside the doors, तो इतना इन्फ्लुएंस नहीं उनका. काफी अच्छा होता है अगर वो थोड़ा कुछ और रोल मिलता है. आप आए हो पॉडकास्ट पे?
या
कुछ प्लान है आगे, कुछ आगे करने का?
No, that I did not ask. That I've never asked. Wait, there was one nice question here from Rishabh.
और जो कंपनी क्लोजर की बात कर रहे थे सर, उन्होंने मेरे को इन्होंने उस प्रोसेस को थोड़ा इम्प्रूव किया. पहले तो पता नहीं कितनी सारी परमिशन लेनी पड़ती थी, अब पैरेलली हो जाती है. अगर आपको प्राइवेट लिमिटेड क्लोज करनी थी तो परमिशन पैरेलली मिल जाती हैं आपको, जो एनओसीज मिलनी होती हैं सारी. पहली बात तो मेरे को तो समझ, ये क्या सोशलिस्ट चल रहा है भाई, मेरी कंपनी नहीं चल रही, मेरे को बंद करनी है, खत्म, तुम कौन हो? मगर वो सोशलिस्ट है ना कि जॉब चली जाएंगी, नहीं हमारे वर्कर्स को नुकसान, ये वो.
What do you think of the Udan Cafe or the Yatri Cafe at airports? Why is it good or is it bad?
अफवाह, और जिसके भी वो दिमाग में है उसको भी अफवाह.
Yeah, why is it bad?
मतलब पहली बात तो ये, आप कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स ब्रीच कर रहे हो, मतलब वो पागल बैठे जो लाखों रुपए का रेंट दे रहे हैं वहां के लिए, ठीक है. और दूसरी बात, वो आपने ऑटोमेटिकली सबके मार्जिन उड़ा दिए, उनके वर्कर्स की सैलरी कम कर दी, सिर्फ किसके लिए? और आप टैक्स तो में से वैसे भी ले रहे हो, और एयरपोर्ट फीस बढ़ा दी है इन्होंने, तो टिकटिंग फीस बढ़ गई है. टिकटिंग हाँ, घूम फिर के आप पे कर ही रहे हो उसी के लिए, टिकटिंग वो बढ़ा गई इन्होंने, एयरपोर्ट फीस बढ़ा गई.
See, these kind of things should organically happen. Like, there should organically happen in these airports. It shouldn't be forced upon like this based on, why aren't the rest of the restaurants in there getting those kind of privileges in terms of taxations or whatever it is, right? So how are these guys able to afford it? What is their business model as such? I mean, what is the difference between a roadside vendor who's offering everything for 10 or 20 rupees to one in the airport? I mean, like, those guys also can come in and develop a system and run it in the airport, right? Why is that not happening organically? That would be my question to that. It should happen organically. Why not?
और किसी को इतना ज्यादा इंटरेस्ट है चीप सर्विस देने में, करो रेंट, वहां पे तुम्हें पता चल जाएगा कि भाई नहीं, इतना चीप पे नहीं दे सकते.
Or see, even if you take, they are saying dosa vada in different states are different. What if I'm from another state and I want a different type of dosa and vada? Now who's going to provide that for me? So how is all this organically going to happen? I don't get it. Like, I mean, like, I don't really feel like maybe going and having idlis, but maybe I want a vada pav for that same cost. But is that same restaurant going to provide all the food that everybody wants? So it is always going to be fair to some and unfair to others.
बाकी मेरी सबसे बड़ी सिंपैथीज है उनको जिनको रेंट पे करना पड़ता है. रेंट सीकर्स कैपिटलिस्ट नहीं है, मतलब हाँ, मतलब एक एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप का एक एसेंशियल पार्ट है रिस्क टेकिंग, और रेंट सीकिंग बिजनेसेस रिस्क टेकिंग में नहीं आते. तो पता नहीं, मतलब कुछ उसका कुछ अच्छा सोल्यूशन होना चाहिए. ये तो लैंड वैल्यू टैक्स सजेस्ट करते हैं जॉर्जिस्ट, तो वो थोड़ा एक सोल्यूशन दिखता है इस चीज का. मगर रेंट सीकिंग की वजह से ना, जैसे मतलब कई सारी सिटीज आर्टिफिशियली एक्सपेंसिव है रेंट सीकिंग बिजनेस बिहेवियर की वजह से, क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट डिस्टॉर्शंस क्रिएट कर देती है उसको लिमिट करके, उस पे टोटल मतलब कितनी हाउसिंग लैंड हो सकती है, और उसके बाद फिर कहीं पे भी थोड़ी इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटी होती है तो लोग प्रॉपर्टी में इन्वेस्ट करना शुरू कर देते हैं। अब सोचिए, देखो बिहार में प्रॉपर्टी उसकी पर कैपिटा इनकम से बहुत ज्यादा है, मतलब कि बिहार में प्रॉपर्टी बहुत एक्सपेंसिव है। ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है कि जिस स्टेट की इकोनॉमी सब सहारन अफ्रीका के बराबर है, उसमें लैंड प्राइसेस उसके मतलब कि रिच नेबर्स के बराबर हैं। तो ये सारा रेंट सीकिंग जो है ना, वो प्रॉब्लम है, इसको सॉल्व करने की जरूरत है। उसको किसी को अगर जेन्युइनली किसी को अगर प्रॉब्लम को एड्रेस करना है कि भाई बिजनेस में इस प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व करने की जरूरत है, तो वो रेंट सीकिंग है कि भाई क्या पॉलिसी मेजर लिया जाए कि रेंट सीकिंग को हम रिड्यूस कर सकें, मतलब रेंट सीकिंग को हम थोड़ा वो जो शेडी बिजनेस बना हुआ है उसको ओवरकम कर सकें।
रेंट सीकिंग एग्जैक्टली है क्या, वो थोड़ा समझा दो।
रेंट सीकिंग मतलब बेसिक डेफिनेशन ही है कि भाई आपने यू पुट अप द मनी वंस और उसके बाद फिर परपेचुअली इनकम आती रहेगी, कोई डाउनसाइड नहीं है। जैसे आपने घर खरीदा एक बार बना दिया, फिर 30, 40, 50 ईयर तक आपको लगातार कैश फ्लो आता रहेगा।
तो इज दैट अ बैड थिंग?
हाँ, वो जब वाइड स्प्रेड हो जाता है तो वो बैड थिंग हो जाती है, अगर इकोनॉमी नेचुरली एक्सपैंड नहीं कर रही और हाउसिंग लिमिटेड है तो।
If that is the only thing that is there, and people won't be investing their money into areas where there should be significant improvement. Like, for example, okay, aliens have invaded or something. All the money should be going into, we should have already had a properly developed, I know we are doing a lot of things on space, but we could do a lot more. We could do a lot more on a lot of other areas and stuff like that. Just sending all the money, driving one economy up, and it also removes the opportunity for other people who want to own a home, because this area is being bombarded with money from a lot of places where we are not even aware of. And this is the big thing in Bangalore also. Like, people are like, hey, I can't afford a home. I get about 5 lakhs a month, but I can't afford a home. You know what I mean? Like, I could lose my job in 3 years. Now, how am I going to afford a 3 crore home, which is just a 2 or 3 bedroom here? Why did this happen? This happened because this is the only avenue right now to hide the money from the government and push your agenda with your money. It's a safe bet. So it needs to go. All kinds of rent-seeking enterprises need to be shut down.
और तभी एक जो पॉलिटिशियंस और क्रोनीज हैं वो रेंट सीकिंग, जैसे पेट्रोल पंप हो गया या इस टाइप के बिजनेसेस हो गए, इनको प्रेफर करते हैं क्योंकि यू जस्ट हैव टू पुट अप द मनी वंस, और वो भी लोन पे मिल जाता है, तो आपको भी बहुत कम कैपिटल लगाना होता है और फिर आपकी परपेचुअली इनकम स्ट्रीम बन जाती है, पैसिव इनकम कहते हैं इसको। तो ये बिजनेसेस वो हैं इकोनॉमी को डिस्टॉर्ट करते हैं और दे हाइड, मतलब वो बचाते हैं उनको ना, मतलब एक्चुअल रिस्क टेकिंग और इनोवेशन से।
Let's take this question now. Can you please tell where does Libertarian Party of India stand on freedom of speech? What are the instances where it doesn't count?
Government censorship zero, मतलब कि कोई गवर्नमेंट कैन नॉट सेंसर स्पीच, मतलब प्राइवेट सेंसरशिप हो सकती है, जैसे थिएटर डिसाइड करें कि भाई आप फायर नहीं चला सकते, तो वो थिएटर प्रॉपर्टी, उसके पास राइट है कि जो वहां पे बोलने ना बोलो, मगर गवर्नमेंट आगे थिएटर से बोले कि तुम्हें ये अपने लोगों को रेगुलेट करना है, नहीं वो नहीं।
See, at the end of the day, you look at different platforms, right? They didn't really need any input from the government to regulate content. Already on YouTube, look at it. A lot of things. For example, if I use the F word like 10 times on this podcast, you have to designate it as 18 plus. You know what I mean? Like, they already have these systems. So what is the government coming and trying to do here when a businesses own interests are at stake when it comes to the type of content that they deliver, and they are regulating, they are having millions, they are having thousands of employees listening to feedback, they have advertisers who are pressurizing them on certain types of content that cannot be allowed. How is the government even going to understand where to draw the line between free speech and not free speech? Where can they draw the line? These people are investing money into running their platform. So basically, if an open market, a free market is established, you will have probably 15 different types of big YouTube type content providers in India for sure, because almost everybody seems to have that ambition for creating something like this. So it will be like, okay, so if the community designates one platform as very dirty and I don't want to do go into that, you will naturally find your way to another platform where you are finding that clean content and whatever it is. And the other platform either has to realize on their own that, hey, this. So the platforms themselves can form a committee, to ensure that they all abide by certain rules and regulations if things go beyond that out of hand.
और इसका हमारे पास हिस्टोरिकल एग्जांपल है. कॉमिक बुक्स, खुद अमेरिका में कॉमिक बुक्स एक टाइम पे अनरेगुलेटेड थी. फिर उन्होंने खुद ही कॉमिक्स कोड, मेरे ख्याल से उसका कुछ ये नाम है, उन्होंने उसके बाद वो खुद ही मतलब कि कंपनी डिसाइडेड कि ये हम कॉमिक्स कोड बना रहे हैं और उसके बाद फिर हम फॉलो करेंगे उसको. और
and on music cassettes and all in the 80s, they started putting parental advisory lyrics. Thanks to the government advertisement on that, more copies of those VHS tapes and all that were sold. Okay, so it is like, it's almost like perception and influencing, right? I mean, the influence changes when you're really told what not to do. So, and look at people's language now after so many years. Has it really changed? Did that little layer on that one cassette tape and CD, did it change anything? No, it did not. So why should anybody be involved in all of this?
No, actually, I know people would argue that since that label did not work, so that cassette should have been banned in the first place. Therefore,
people have tried burning everything, right? They tried burning religious books. They tried burning history books. They tried burning everything. Burn everything. What is that going to solve? It solved nothing. Like you look at your own home, for example, your mom and dad tell you not to do something. It's not going to go down, and you really believe you want to do it for your own reasons because you're a human with your own individual freedom that you believe you have. It's not going to work. How is it going to work for a country with 1.4 billion people or the world for that matter? It's not going to work.
और इसमें अब्यूज ऑफ पावर इतनी ज्यादा होती है. अभी रिसेंटली असम में बात हो रही थी कि एक पता नहीं किसी ने लाफ्टर इमोजी का रिप्लाई कर दिया किसी जज के ऊपर और फिर उसको
ब्यूरोक्रेट के ऊपर.
तो अब वही, क्योंकि प्रॉब्लम लॉ में नहीं है, प्रॉब्लम उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करने वाले में है. एंड ही इज अ ह्यूमन बीइंग हिमसेल्फ और उसके भी इश्यूज हैं. तो ऑटोमेटिकली और प्रॉब्लम ये हो जाती है कि उसके पास मोनोपोली है कि सिर्फ वही डिसाइड कर सकता है कि क्या होगा. तो आप उसकी ह्यूमन जजमेंट पे रिलाई कर रहे हो और आप सोचते हो कि लॉ बिल्कुल हम ऐसे वाटर टाइट बना देंगे. लॉ कभी वाटर टाइट हो ही नहीं सकता. तो इसी वजह से लिबर्टेरियंस का फंडामेंटल डिस्ट्रस्ट है गवर्नमेंट में, क्योंकि आप एक इंस्टीट्यूशन को मोनोपोली दे देते हो उस चीज के मतलब आप ऑप्शंस खत्म कर देते हो इंडिविजुअल के लिए. फिर अब क्या ऑप्शन, अब इस वक्त क्या ऑप्शन है? अगर आपको कोई सिस्टम नहीं है पसंद तो कंट्री छोड़ दो, ये ऑप्शन है इसमें. मगर उसमें क्या होगा कि डिसेंट्रलाइज सिस्टम में क्या होगा कि जैसे यूएसए में होता है कि अगर आपको यहाँ का कोर्ट पसंद नहीं तो आप दूसरे कोर्ट में जाके अपील कर सकते हो उसको. मगर यहाँ पे इस वक्त ऐसा नहीं है. यहाँ पे तो बस हायरार्की है. ये नहीं है कि आपका यहाँ का केस वहां पे फाइल कर दिया. तो इस वजह से ऑप्शनैलिटी की जो प्रॉब्लम है ना, इस वजह से इंडिया की काफी ज्यादा सफरिंग है.
So that's what we are trying as libertarians. What we are trying to do is remove the language of, hey, everybody is thinking that. Lot of people are thinking like that. There isn't anything like that. At the end of the day, even when we talk about certain issues, they'll be like, oh, it won't work in India because there is everybody. At the end of the day, only one person matters, and that is you. Your own individual thoughts, your own behavior, how you are going to go about things. Don't worry about everybody because everybody never really existed in that way. So that's why the decentralization is a very key concept to understanding. The more decentralized we are, we kind of at least get a proper subset of whatever decisions need to be made, and the better decisions will be made at that time. So same thing with the language problem that is going on in Tamil Nadu. It's not like Tamilians cannot learn Hindi. I mean, like a lot of people have learned Hindi. I have studied in multiple states in both South India and I've studied in North India as well. So the idea is like, it's not like we cannot learn or anything like that. But ultimately, when you look at certain languages, people just seem to be comfortable in transferring their emotions and thoughts through that language, and that is all there is to it. You will grow up as a small kid between your most. I recently did a podcast where they said that between 1 to 5 years is when that entire attachment to things are built. And that includes language. So you're in Tamil, they'll be like, oh, amma eppadi irkinga. So you cannot let go of that when you grow up. You will still hug your mother and say, Amma, how are you? You know, this is a simple concept. Like, why are people fighting it by saying, hey, you learned that, you learned this. Hey, why don't you all go do engineering? What is stopping you from doing that? Why can't you all become doctors? It's the same thing. When you're talking about learning, it happens very, it's always close to your heart. You always learn something that probably that you're close to, right? Even in engineering, let's say everybody's engineer, you still go choose your stream of kind of engineering where you feel the most connected to. So, I mean, these are all non-issues. The government should not be interfering in like things like that. At the end of the day, if it is more decentralized, let's say there is a town in Tamil Nadu that has been doing business like in places like Bihar and the north for ages, they might want schools that have Hindi. Why should even Tamil Nadu decide that the entire Tamil Nadu wants only Tamil, right? But that little town there could be trading with a lot of people. Who knows? They might want to learn Gujarati. They might want to learn Bengali. Or they might want to learn something else. Why can't they learn those things that they are so dear about? Why should everybody conform to some sort of weird fantasy, that probably they are not connected to with their lives? This is where personal freedom really comes in.
Someone is asking, if I say that Libertarian Party of India are genociders and they are turning the frogs gay with their controversial ideas and they feed babies steroids, will that fall under freedom of speech? How to regulate ridiculous stuff? Like they get called CIA agents anyway.
Rumors तो फैलते रहते हैं, rumors of regulating. और दूसरी बात ये,
this is like an everybody question. Name one fellow who has done those things. Can you show that question again? Like what? Who has done things to frogs? Okay, whatever. Feed babies steroids. Okay, so I mean, like, okay.
X पे community notes है, आप उस पे जाके fact check हो जाते हो, सारे fact check हो जाते हैं, तो इतनी कोई खास बड़ी बात नहीं है. ये एक टेक प्रॉब्लम है जो कि आसानी से सॉल्व करी जा सकती है. और फैक्ट चेकर तो भी एक जॉब बन गया खुद में, तो कोई ज्यादा बड़ी वो नहीं है कि भाई कैसे रेगुलेट.
That is not happening now anyway. What did anybody do to stop anything? Like, okay, so one type of steroid will be banned, another guy will build another type of steroid with one letter missing there, and he will run it for some time. You can never stop these things, but ultimately what we would like to do is have more information out there based on free speech itself, more information so people can make better decisions. Even AI makes better decisions only when more information is out there. So we let people speak freely on this and see how tech can actually solve this problem.
And it's not like any government is regulating ridiculous stuff at the moment anyway. They are only regulating only Ranveer Allahabadi out of the blue.
Yeah, only the stuff that suddenly the so-called everybody creates a big scheme about, only those stuff is regulated. Everything else is under the radar. Otherwise, give money and make it work. That is the business currently. In a libertarian system, all this won't exist because who will you give money to for what? There are no regulations. You don't have to pay anybody to do anything. Ultimately, the community will decide your fate.
When are you guys starting your party in Bihar?
Oh, we'd love that. We'd really love that because I feel like we can turn around Bihar like in no time. Like they will feel an air of, they'll probably be the most freest state on earth if we get to Bihar, and they will not really feel like doing all these little things. I think they will really feel it.
शांति किशोर पार्टी क्या करती है, इससे हमें थोड़ा आइडिया लगेगा कि क्या किया जा सकता है वहाँ पे.
Yeah. A lot of people, they have to sit and hide.
A lot of people think that Bihar is by default libertarian because of the lawlessness. Why is lawlessness mistaken to be libertarianism? What is the difference? Isn't that anarcho-capitalism what Bihar's badlands are?
Anarcho-capitalism feudal system है वहाँ पे, वो थोड़ा है. Anarchism थोड़ा है, feudal system है.
Why what's your asking my location now?
What's your view on banking? How can MSMEs obtain loans in India as it is difficult to get loan for them?
तो ये इसमें तभी मेरा आरबीआई को लेकर क्रिटिसिज्म है कि आरबीआई मतलब कहते हैं आरबीआई कि हम तो सिर्फ रिकमेंड करते हैं कि इंटरेस्ट रेट्स इतने होने चाहिए, मगर अब इंटरेस्ट रेट का जो ओरिजिन जो वो टाइम प्रेफरेंस पे डिसाइड होता है कि भाई बेसिकली अगर एनवायरनमेंट सेफ है तो आप काफी लंबे टाइम तक लोन लैंड कर सकते हो क्योंकि आपको पता है कि हाँ रिकवर हो जाएगा.
Yeah.
जैसे कंट्रीज को लोन चीपर रेट पे मिल जाता है, जापान ने इंडिया को लोन 1% 2% इंटरेस्ट पे दिया हुआ है, क्योंकि उसे
Yeah.
पता है कि जापान इंडिया से रिकवर हो जाएगा लोन और इंडिया डिफॉल्ट नहीं करता
Yeah.
टाइम पे। तो
हाँ.
इंटरेस्ट रेट इस तरीके से काम करता है कि आप दूसरी पार्टी पे भरोसा कितना कर सकते हो और कितने टाइम तक कर सकते हो। मगर जहाँ पे लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की प्रॉब्लम है वहां पे
Yeah.
ऑटोमेटिकली इंटरेस्ट रेट हाई होंगे, और जहाँ पे लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की प्रॉब्लम नहीं है वहां पे इंटरेस्ट रेट लो होंगे। मगर यहाँ पे जो सेंट्रलाइज सिस्टम में प्रॉब्लम ये है कि भाई आपने सबको ही सेम बना रखा कि अक्रॉस द कंट्री का आपने लॉ एंड ऑर्डर, एक बॉडी जो मुंबई में बैठी है वो डिसाइड कर देगी भाई ये है कंट्री का लॉ एंड ऑर्डर, तो वहां से प्रॉब्लम
Right.
शुरू होती है।
See, the whole point about even the banking system is right now they all have a big monopoly on the whole situation. Like at the end of the day,
Or-
like there could be, in a decentralized system or in a deregulated system, there could be local guys who will be willing to give you for 1 or 2% in your local, and that will start dictating the rest of the economy. So the interest rates will automatically be dictated organically. It will not be dictated by anybody else. Who will you go and take a loan from? Somebody who's offering you 1 or 2% or somebody who's offering you 15%? Naturally, everybody will have to drop their rates. So let that all happen naturally. It needn't be forced upon anybody.
सारी प्रॉब्लम बेसिकली लॉ एनफोर्समेंट, उसमें कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एनफोर्समेंट पे है। अगर आप कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स एनफोर्स कर सकते हो, लॉ एंड ऑर्डर मेंटेन कर सकते हो, तो आपके तो कोई इंटरेस्ट रेट लो करने में प्रॉब्लम नहीं। तभी यूएसए जीरो इंटरेस्ट रेट पे भी ऑपरेट कर गया। मगर अगर आपका लॉ एंड ऑर्डर वीक है और तो आप कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स एनफोर्स नहीं कर सकते। जैसे आपने मेरे से लोन ले लिया और मेरे पास गारंटी नहीं है कि भाई मैं उसको रिकवर कर पाऊंगा या नहीं पाऊंगा, तो ऑटोमेटिकली मैं अपना रिस्क का परसेंटेज हाई रखूंगा। मगर मगर मेरे पास गारंटी होगी और इतने सारे कॉम्पिटिटर्स हैं कि भाई लोन देने में इंटरेस्टेड हैं, तो फिर ऑटोमेटिकली प्राइसेस नीचे आएंगे मेरे भी, कि मैं चलो वो 5% पे दे रहा है मैं 3.5 पे दे दूंगा। तो मार्केट कंपटीशन तब ऑपरेट करेगा ना कि भाई ये फंडामेंटल कंडीशन मीट हो गई कि भाई कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स तो पैसे तो वापस होगा। अब ये देखो कि भाई कितने टाइम में और कितने परसेंट पे मैं देने को तैयार हूँ। तो ये कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एनफोर्समेंट की प्रॉब्लम है, मतलब इसको आप कुछ टॉप डाउन तरीके से कर नहीं सकते।
Are classical books like John Locke and Adam Smith's still good and relevant? I don't understand Locke books, he's saying.
आप पढ़ सकते हो एडम स्मिथ, ठीक है, मगर अब
I
थोड़ा
haven't read John
मेरे ख्याल
Locke,
से पेशेंस
actually.
नहीं है उस टाइम। थोड़ा ना उस टाइम की बुक्स की थोड़ी डेंसिटी, आपने नोटिस किया उस टाइम की बुक्स की थोड़ी डेंसिटी थोड़ी ज्यादा होती थी वर्ड्स में। एक वो आज की स्टाइल वाली नहीं है कि आप एक ही रीडिंग में खत्म कर सको उसको।
Oh, I love this question. What does libertarian, LP, I think the libertarian can't answer. Oh, that's a tough one. I don't know what it can't answer.
मेरे को पता है एक क्वेश्चन है जो थोड़ा टफ टू आंसर है कि क्या एनर्गो कैपिटलिज्म में हर इंडिविजुअल के पास न्यूक्स होने चाहिए?
Yeah, the defense aspect of it is a little tricky, right? I mean, like how does the libertarian system raise funds for like something like maybe the military? That is something that we also have been mulling over internally, to try to figure out, okay, so how we cannot just privatize it, right? Because that would be a very popular opinion on the subject. So what do we kind of do along those lines? And there are few things here and there which I feel like, because we are asking ourselves those tough questions, I think slowly we are also figuring those things out.
Yeah, if the government has to exist, which is why Libertarian Party of India exists, therefore protection of life, liberty and property requires an army, and libertarianism is for the country, for the spaces inside the country, not for the entire world. So of course a border and an army. So I don't see any problem with that. So how does free market decide on historical figures? In some private schools, Aurangzeb may be shown hero, and in some others as a bad guy.
Go to the school that shows you what you want to hear. At the end of the day, that is what it is. I mean, like, let's say some school is teaching you extremist things. In a libertarian system, that will not be your only school option. Because you will have schools of the wazoo. Anybody can start a business, right? So you don't have to be in that school like that teaches things that you feel aren't valid. And if, for example, like you are not aware whether this is the right thing to do or not the right thing to do, I think if there are multiple schools in the location, the other schools will highlight this fact. Let's say you go for an admission to one school, they are going to be telling the parent why those schools talking about certain things is a bad thing. It is all about that as well. At the end of the day, they have the best knowledge of the system. They have the best, because they are backing a certain education style. And what the users in a libertarian country have is the power to choose and the power of choice. So at the end of the day, yes, okay, so you run a school, the government is not going to stop you from saying, hey, you know, this is the only God that exists on earth, for example, right? The government is not going to stop you. But your kid has a choice now. Why do you want to go to a school where they say that this is the only right thing? You know, you
It
can
exists
go
right now already. We fund madrasas
already.
where
It
kids are
exists.
taught on taxpayer money that there is one God and it's not the ones
Yes,
overshot by
that is
many.
the point. It's on taxpayers' money. Why is
Yeah.
that? It has to be a choice completely to the taxpayer as well if the taxpayer is paying tax.
Yeah.
Why should it go to such an education?
Okay, does LPI have plans to do live streams and discuss in Indian languages? If not, they'll be reduced to a few thousands of people.
Good point. That's why we have Tushar. And
मैं
we'll
हिंदी
be
में बात
doing in
करूँ.
Tamil
Plans
எனக்கு
हैं
நல்லா
वो
தெரியும், மலையாளம் அறியாம், Kannada solpa. So we'll figure it out. We'll be doing different podcasts. I
काफी
will be mainly focusing on some South languages.
ऑडियंस को रियलाइज करना चाहिए कि हमारी मेंबरशिप बहुत डाइवर्स है. वहां से पूरा उधर उस साइड से शुरू होती है और मतलब ईस्ट से शुरू होती है पूरी नीचे साउथ के एंड तक पूरी कन्याकुमारी तक और ऊपर पूरा कश्मीर तक सारा और इधर राजस्थान तक सारा कवर्ड है. तो लैंग्वेजेस की कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है ऐसे.
In Germany, the Liberal Party got kicked out of parliament in recent elections. Economics is economics. What is liberal versus illiberal economics?
Yeah, I mean, even what the present government is doing is also economics, right? It is also economics. At the end of the day, what are they doing? They are trying to utilize certain aspects of people's skills, and they are trying to make money out of them. Liberal economics is
different. ये क्वेश्चन बार बार उठेगा वैसे कि लिबरल और लिबर्टेरियन और ये सारे में डिफरेंस क्या है. तो सबसे सिंपल आंसर ये है कि प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी की कितनी रिस्पेक्ट है आपके सिस्टम में. इसमें हमारे सोशल सिस्टम में प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी की रिस्पेक्ट नहीं है. गवर्नमेंट क्लेम कर सकते है कि भाई आपका पैसा हमारा है, वो टैक्सेस दो, ये सब करो, वो सब करो. मगर लिबर्टेरियन सिस्टम में प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी सुप्रीम है. आपकी प्रॉपर्टी की ओनरशिप और आपकी सेल्फ ओनरशिप सुप्रीम है. आप कोई वोट करके डिसाइड नहीं कर सकता कि भाई आपकी प्रॉपर्टी छीन ली जाएगी या आपका राइट टू लिव छीन लिया जाएगा. तो आपकी प्रॉपर्टी राइट्स जो कि जिसमें आप खुद की और आपकी जो फिजिकल प्रॉपर्टी जो ओन करते हो वो किसी के दूसरे विल पे डिपेंडेंट नहीं है. मतलब अनटिल अनलेस आपने कुछ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट इस टाइप का कर रखा हो. तो ये सबसे बड़ा डिफरेंस है कि इकोनॉमी की जो बिल्कुल फाउंडेशन है वो प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी से शुरू होती है लिबर्टेरियन इकोनॉमिक्स में. जबकि और कम्युनिज्म में तो वो तो प्रॉपर्टी को वो मानते ही नहीं कि प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी एग्जिस्ट करती है. लिबरल इकोनॉमिक्स में एक्सेप्शंस टू प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी की भी नहीं यहाँ पे प्राइवेट, जो कि जिसको नेहरू अपना फॉलो करने की कोशिश कर रहे थे कि नहीं यहाँ पे एक्सेप्शंस क्रिएट करेंगे हम कि यहाँ पे प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी को हम वो कर सकते हैं, एग्जेम्प्ट कर सकते हैं उससे फंडामेंटल राइट से. तो ये डिफरेंस है. और इसी वजह से जो हमारे करंट सारे डिस्टॉर्शंस हैं वो इसी वजह से है कि हम आपने अगर वो देखा हो यूएस से अगर टीवी सीरीज देखते हो तो उसमें एक फ्रेजिंग आती है, गेट आउट ऑफ माय प्रॉपर्टी. यहाँ पे इंडिया में उसका इक्विवेलेंट कुछ सुनने को नहीं मिलता. हाँ मतलब पेरेंट्स ये बोलते हैं कि मेरे घर से निकल जा, मगर उस टाइम में गेट आउट ऑफ माय प्रॉपर्टी स्टॉप यूजिंग माय थिंग, वो ओनरशिप वाला जो कॉन्सेप्ट है ना वो यहाँ पे इतना प्रिवेलेंट नहीं है या उड़ा दिया गया है. वो इसी वजह से वो सोशलिस्ट लिंगो का इंडिकेटर है.
So basically liberal economics is based on three main sources. One is the free markets. Of course, everything has to be determined by supply and demand. That is the main thing. You know, if people don't prefer wearing clothes right now, don't make clothes. That's kind of the idea of the liberal. The second is, of course, what Tushar was talking about, which is property rights. Another aspect is minimal governance. We need to ensure that we are just referees. We are not interfering too much into everybody's business, and we create a fair platform for anybody, regardless of the type of business. So you as a child can sit there thinking, I want to become this, and there should be nothing in your way to achieve that goal in terms of these complex regulatory compliances that you need to go through. And finally, free trade is a very critical component to all of this. This is what meshes everything together, because India does not have all the raw materials. Where are you getting it from? Free trade should be established so that no matter what your supply, your demand is, your supply never stops. Your supply to cater to that demand, that competition that caters to that demand, that should never stop. So the only way to do that is to establish free trade with as many countries as possible, and establish free trade within India as well, so that everybody can ship goods freely, quickly, get the demand sorted out. So next, the demand will not only be satisfied, but the demand will will evolve to a new stage. Before
Didn't
we were
GST achieve that, a sort of free trade agreement between states?
No, not really. GST of 1% may have definitely. You know what I mean? Like, don't take 18% and what nonsense there. Take 1%, let everybody do it. What's the big deal? And nobody will cheat also. Who is going to cheat on 1%? Get everybody to pay 1% and not just a few population of people who want to pay that 18%.
Yeah. Yeah, Tushar, you were going to add something?
जीएसटी इम्प्लीमेंटेशन में भी आप देख रहे होगे कि लॉस के बारे में सोचने और उसे एडमिनिस्टर करना कितना डिफिकल्ट है। अब जब वो कैरमल और कैरमल पॉपकॉर्न वाली सिचुएशन थी कि कैरमल के तो जीएसटी अलग है और पॉपकॉर्न में जीएसटी अलग है, तो फिर उसके बाद उसको जब मिक्स कर देता है उसमें जीएसटी क्या बनेगा। तो यही सेंट्रल प्लानर्स की यही प्रॉब्लम है, वो सोचते हैं कि हम सब कुछ एडवांस में सोच सकते हैं और उसकी बेसिस पे हम अपना एक मेजर ले सकते हैं, या फिर जब कोई प्रॉब्लम आएगी तो उसको सॉल्व कर सकते हैं। नहीं, कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन हमेशा ऐसी तरह आती रहेंगी क्योंकि आपकी फाउंडेशन ही गलत है। आपको
the taxpayers are only paying for those meetings also, where they are discussing on how much more to tax them. Like, how ridiculous is that?
Are you national security hawks?
National security, matlab,
are you tough on national security?
To that GST question, saying that every state had different rates of GST. I'm not denying that, it is better. Things are better from 10 years ago. Okay, fine, they are better, but they are still not ideal. That's my point. They are better. Okay, fine. So they are better by 1 or 2%. That didn't solve the problem now, did it? Like at the end of the day, people are paying. You are paying close to 20% extra on a product. Like, it's unbelievable. Like 20% extra. Think of it. Like, you are paying. How much of money are you paying? And that is excluding the amount you have already paid as taxes, income taxes, and this, that. You're paying, like, it's ridiculous. 100 rupees is now 118 rupees. You're still paying that. That has not been solved yet. So you can say whatever you want, that it was better than 10 years ago. So was mobility, so was technology better than 10 years ago. But this has not solved the problem.
This is a very interesting question. Wait, I'll just answer Hindu Vichardhara ma'am's question here in one sentence. She's asking, what's their stand on free temples, uniform civil code, Waqf board reforms? On that, all of their stances are on the same as the Hindutva position. Every party seems to have some national icons for their party. What will LPI have?
Warhawks वाला आंसर, नेशनल सिक्योरिटी हॉक्स वाला आंसर। हमारे बिल्कुल सेंट्रल कंसर्न ये है कि इंडिविजुअल राइट्स और उसकी प्रॉपर्टी प्रोटेक्ट होनी चाहिए। तो नेचुरली अब हम ये चाहेंगे कि नहीं अपना आप नेशन में इन्वेड कर सकते हो, मगर इंडिविजुअल प्रॉपर्टी हम इंडिविजुअल प्रॉपर्टी प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए हम इंश्योर करेंगे ना कि सिस्टम उस हिसाब से हो, तो नेशनल सिक्योरिटी ऑटोमेटिकली इसमें कवर्ड है।
So national icons for the Libertarian Party of India. Whose posters will you have in your party office? Any Indians?
I mean, we'll have just the India flag, man. Like, at the end of the day, listen, like, what we are trying to tell is, like, you are the heroes. Like, if you want a hero in your life, go watch a movie or something like that. Because in real life, you're the true hero. When you're in a family, your family looks up to you to make solutions. They don't sit there thinking, oh, the government is going to give me money to buy chapati tonight for my. No, you are the guy, or you and your family members are the ones who are going out there and being everyday heroes. So ultimately, at the end of the day, yes, we will have a party icon, which is a lion, which represents that every Indian is a lion and not just, whatever, it'll be a lion.
Sheeps.
You don't have to worry about who. No more sheeps. Yes, no more sheeps. No more sheeps trying to follow one lion. You're all lions. And at the end of the day, you don't have to worry about who's PM. Okay, the PM can be anybody. Tomorrow, we will even have a rotational party policy in our company, because when I look around the type of people in the libertarian system, they are all intelligent. So who knows? We'll give Dhruv a month, and then we'll be like, okay, we'll put lots out of 10 people or whatever it is and decide who will be. It does not matter. because ultimately we have like very little policies to implement, and who's playing the referee is the real question here. You look forward to you guys being the real heroes in your life, and that is what it is. Ultimately, a person who's probably had lesser education than you is able to achieve so many things, and we are all considering them as heroes, right? Even in your society, a lot of politicians may not be educated as such, and we are portraying them as heroes. You probably have more skills. You should be the hero. Like it cannot be that just one person is the hero. This ain't a movie. This is real. You know, nobody
what is your
going to
view
come to
on
help you.
what is your view on delimitation?
Well,
delimitation जो आ रही है अभी
आएगा जो 2029 तक.
ठीक है, थोड़ा डायनामिक्स चेंज होंगे जब 900 मेंबर की पार्लियामेंट होगी, 900 या 1000 मेंबर की पार्लियामेंट होगी, तो थोड़ा डायनामिक्स में थोड़ा फर्क आएगा.
What's your position on migration? If your model is local government, how can they handle large amount of internal migration?
why will people leave the country when you're free? Like I mean, like
नहीं, थोड़ा क्वेश्चन क्लियर नहीं हुआ मेरे को, क्या मतलब है इससे?
yeah. Internal migration is a local.
Yeah.
What is your people? I mean, like at the end of the day, every Indian has to be able to choose where they want to live.
मेरा सबसे कोई नॉर्मल क्वेश्चन, आपको पता है कितना परसेंटेज ऑफ इंडिया ऑक्यूपाइड है? मतलब कि कितने परसेंटेज ऑफ इंडिया में सेटलमेंट है? सिर्फ 20%. मतलब वास्टली इंडिया इज वास्टली एम्प्टी है, वास्टली एम्प्टी. 80%. आप मतलब कि आप अगर एक एरोप्लेन में जा रहे हो और अगर आप कुछ गिरा देते हो तो 80% चांस है वो किसी को हिट नहीं करेगा.
Right. Have you read about the Swatantra Party? If so, what is your opinion on them? What will you do politically different from them to avoid failure?
स्वतंत्र पार्टी थोड़ा इंदिरा गांधी के टाइम में, एक तो उनकी ग्राउंड लेवल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन नहीं थी, और दूसरा उन्होंने सक्सेशन ही क्रिएट करी. हम उसको रियलाइज करते हुए कि तभी हमारा सिस्टम फोकस इसी चीज पे कि कोई बेशक मैं हूं या अनूप सर हो या ना हो, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ग्रो करती रहनी चाहिए. तो हम वो कोशिश करें कि मतलब पता नहीं इलेक्टोरल फॉर्च्यून्स तो ऊपर नीचे होते रहेंगे, मगर सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है कि लिबर्टेरियन प्रिंसिपल्स और जो सिस्टम को हम प्रमोट करते हैं वो ऑपरेट करते रहे. तो हमारा फोकस प्लेटफॉर्म बिल्डिंग पे ही है कि अगर कोई भी लिबर्टेरियन है उसको अगर सेंटर स्टेज पे आना है तो वो आ सके, मतलब हमारे थ्रू आ सके. मतलब ऑर्गेनाइज्ड नहीं है अभी, कोई छोटे छोटे क्लस्टर्स में है. तो हमारी कोशिश यही है कि उनको एक प्लेटफॉर्म दिया जा सके और फिर जो भी इंटरेस्टेड है, मतलब जिसके पास भी एक्स्ट्रा एफर्ट डालने की ज़ील है, उसको चांस मिल सके कि हाँ आओ और अपना करो अपने व्यूज प्रेजेंट वगैरह.
So that's what towards that effect of what Tushar is saying, we are actually doing an event in Gurgaon. This is going to be like the first libertarian event, and we are having speakers from across the world who are coming in to talk as well. So who will be streaming in, as well as there are people going to be on ground as well talking as well. So what we want to do is build a community which can feel like they belong in a system. We want people to experience that freedom, not just from us. You know, we want them to experience it as a community together, and we want a place where people can call home for those people who, you know, like he said, libertarians unite. Like just come over, discuss your thoughts. This is a place where, and we are planning to do a lot of these events. And tech is another thing that's going to serve way better than what the Swatantra Party was having at that time.
जो भी उसमें आएगा, इवेंट में आएगा, वो नोटिस करेगा कि क्राउड कितना, मतलब कि वो है थोड़ा इंटेलिजेंट और अपना थोड़ा वो काफी इंडिविजुअलिस्टिक और इंटरेस्टिंग लोग आएंगे ना, तो आपको थोड़ा रियलाइज होगा कि दिस इज अ गुड ग्रुप टू जॉइन.
So because basically we've got guys.
आप ना, मैं सिंपल से सबको कहता हूँ कि आप जाओ और पार्टी हैंडल पे जाओ और चेक करो कि कौन कौन फॉलो कर रहा है. आपको वियर्डोज नहीं मिलेंगे, आपको डिफरेंट कलरफुल लोग मिलेंगे. कोई खुद पॉलीमैथ कह रहा है, कोई खुद को इंजीनियर कह रहा है, कोई खुद कुछ और कह रहा है. मतलब अलग अलग चीजें करते मिलेंगे लोग, और काफी इंटरेस्टिंग पीपल टू टॉक टू. जैसे आप भी म्यूजिक में हो, म्यूजिक में ऐसे डाइवर्स चीजें करते रहते हैं. मतलब
one is a musician, a minister, and you know he's everything like that. And another person is he's a PhD in chemistry who's doing cellular projects on cellular communication, which means that cells in your living cells based communication. Then there's a hemp farmer as well. People who are into various kinds of business and things like that. So and there are restaurateurs who actually know on-ground situations in India and how they work and everything like that. So different Web3 Connect entrepreneurs. So these are the kind of speakers also who are there. So
what is your view on language policy? Do sons of the soil deserve special treatment in states?
नहीं, लैंग्वेज पॉलिसी बिल्कुल क्लियर है. उसको मार्केट डिपेंडेंसी डिटरमिन करेगी. जैसे सर ने एग्जांपल दिया था कि अगर तमिलनाडु में कोई किसी गांव की ट्रेडिंग बिहार के साथ अच्छी है तो वो उनकी लैंग्वेज सीखें. और ऐसे नेचुरली होता ही है. मैं आपको एक सिंपल एग्जांपल दूं.
एग्जैक्टली, दैट्स व्हाट हैपेंस एनीवे.
और क्या, मतलब ऐसे कोई आके कोई कैसे फोर्स कर सकता है कि तू ये लैंग्वेज बोल? ऐसे हो ही नहीं सकता. ऐसे होता
नहीं है.
तो अनएनफोर्सेबल है ये. तो हमारी लैंग्वेज पॉलिसी बिल्कुल सिंपल है कि लेट पीपल डिसाइड व्हाट दे वांट टू लर्न. और नेचुरली जो एक लैंग्वेज वो बिजनेस ही सीखेंगे, एक लैंग्वेज वो घर बोलने ही सीखेंगे, और किसी को स्टॉक है तो वो अपना और भी लैंग्वेज सीखेगा. मगर गवर्नमेंट कोई फोर्स नहीं करने वाली. गवर्नमेंट ये लैंग्वेज फोर्स कर रही है लोगों.
Does Libertarian Party of India know that ideology doesn't matter in India that much in terms of winning elections in India? It is more identity based.
नहीं, मेरे को ये बात पता है, और आपकी थीसिस गलत है. आइडेंटिटी बेस्ड है. इंडिया में क्या, ग्लोबली ही पॉलिटिक्स पर्सनालिटी पे चलती है. जिसकी पर्सनालिटी लोगों को, जिसमें वही अमेरिका ओबामा को इलेक्ट कर सकता है, और वही अमेरिका ट्रम्प को इलेक्ट कर सकता है. वही इंडिया मोदी को इलेक्ट कर सकता है, और वही इंडिया केजरीवाल को इलेक्ट कर सकता है. तो डेमोक्रेटिक पॉलिटिक्स वोटर उसमें पर्सनैलिटी कल्ट्स पे चलती है, उस पे नहीं चलती. आइडियोलॉजी या उस पे नहीं चलती. मगर आइडियोलॉजी, हमारे लिए आइडियोलॉजी इंपॉर्टेंट है, क्योंकि अब आम आदमी पार्टी के साथ प्रॉब्लम क्या है, उनका कोई आइडियोलॉजिकल ग्राउंड नहीं है. उन्होंने फेक कोलिशन बनाया हुआ भगत सिंह और अम्बेडकर का. कोई रिलेशन नहीं दोनों का. मगर हमारा ये बिल्कुल नॉन एग्रेशन प्रिंसिपल हो गया, प्रॉपर्टी राइट्स हो गया, ये नॉन नेगोशिएबल है. कोई कितना भी स्कीमी पॉलिटिशियन आ जाए, मतलब कि हमारे ग्रुप में आ जाए, जो अगर वो इन प्रिंसिपल को सबवर्ट करेगा तो वो बाहर है. ये हमारा बिल्कुल फाउंडेशन है, इसको कोई हिला नहीं सकता. तो इस वजह से आइडियोलॉजी की रेलेवेंस यहाँ तक है. मगर जहाँ तक पॉलिसी इंप्लीमेंटेशन की बात है, तो वो वहाँ पे फ्लेक्सिबल हो सकते हैं. वहाँ पे अलग अलग लोग अलग अलग ओपिनियन हो सकते हैं.
Right.
So we are talking about actual implementation, not ideologies. At the end of the day, removing income tax is not an ideology. It is a fact, and it is happening. Hey, deregulation, it is not an ideology. It is happening. Like you're now deregulated. You're free to do what you want. These are actual implementation policies.
कौन नहीं मेरे को रेगुलेट करो? कौन कहता है कि नहीं, मेरे को पुलिस वाला मेरे को आगे बताएगा कि मेरे को क्या करना चाहिए? कोई भी नहीं जानता.
How will you do away with reservation in a voter bank based system like that of India?
उसको irrelevant करके आप ऐसे सीधा आगे कह दो कि मैं रिजर्वेशन उड़ा दूंगा. नहीं हो सकता. आपको रिजर्वेशन की नीड को खत्म करना पड़ेगा. और जैसे जापान ने किया था. आज एक बंदा एक अकाउंट फेक न्यूज फैला रहा था कि जापान में कास्ट सिस्टम नहीं था. जापान में इंडिया जितना ही स्ट्रॉन्ग कास्ट सिस्टम था, पहले उसको लीगली अबॉलिश किया गया, क्योंकि वो था एम्परर का मैंडेटेड था. तो पहले उसको वहां पे खत्म किया गया. उसके बाद फिर अपना इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन और अर्बनाइजेशन के थ्रू वो खत्म हो गया. इंडिया भी सिमिलर ट्रेजेक्टरी फॉलो कर सकता था अगर अर्बनाइज और इंडस्ट्रियलाइज करता, मगर वो नहीं हो पा रहा. चलो कोई नहीं, मगर हम करेंगे कोशिश. मगर जहां तक उसकी बात है, रिजर्वेशन को इररिलेवेंट करने की जरूरत है, जिस तरीके से मलेशिया ने करी थी कि इंडस्ट्रियलाइज करता गया मलेशिया, और ओवर पीरियड टाइम नेसेसिटी खत्म हो गई. जापान, और एक और बात बताऊं, जापान ने भी एफर्मेटिव एक्शन सॉर्ट ऑफ इंट्रोड्यूस किया था अपने जो सो कॉल्ड लोअर कास्ट है वहां पे, और 2003-4 में हटा दिया उसको, क्योंकि उसकी अब रेलेवेंस नहीं रहेगी थी. तो इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन और अर्बनाइजेशन बेस्ट तरीका है. रिजर्वेशन की जो नेसेसिटी है, जो डिस्क्रिमिनेशन या फिर जो इकोनॉमिक बैकवर्डनेस है, उसको सॉल्व करने का.
Because with all the deregulation and things like that are happening, people from their own community, right, these reserved communities, they will itself become big. So you don't have to worry about, specifically targeting certain communities for as and when they will be removed automatically.
और पॉलिटिशियन जो भी क्लेम करता है ना कि मैं कास्ट सिस्टम सॉल्व कर दूंगा, वो आपका मूर्ख बना रहा है. ऐसे नहीं हो सकता सॉल्व. और
डेटा भी है कि सॉल्व नहीं हुआ है.
और 75 इयर्स एविडेंस काफी है मेरे ख्याल से कि प्रूव करने के लिए कि नहीं कर सकता.
This is an interesting statement. Comment that Indian economy can be expected to grow at 6% per annum. So any actual growth beyond that number is what we should consider actual growth due to some market economic intervention. Now the question is more precise. How can your model of local governance handle internal migration, since local governments can deal with limited number of migrants? So I know you answered this basically, but you can be more specific if you can.
गवर्नमेंट का क्या रिलेशन है माइग्रेशन? जिसको
Right.
आना है काम करना है करो, गवर्नमेंट का क्या? गवर्नमेंट कैपेसिटी बढ़ा लेंगे अपनी, उसमें क्या है? अगर मार्केट
You
डिमांड
see,
होगी तो
he has
गवर्नमेंट
he has a subconscious handicap here, because he is thinking that a government handling a number of population means providing freebies, because
नहीं,
because the libertarians won't do that, therefore there's no problem with the government handling or not handling a
फ्रीबीज कहाँ
population.
से आ गए? लिबर्टेरियन
Yeah.
मूवमेंट फ्रीबीज कहाँ से आ गए?
That's where the question of government handling or not being able to handle a big population comes in, no? Because freebies नहीं है उतना. अच्छा, ये तो हो गया. Wait, lots of questions have come. This is the done. Wait, what is your view on ecological sustainability?
किस terms में?
Deregulation,
Policy terms
basically.
में?
So, sorry, decentralization, basically. So, the people around that area need to know exactly what to do with that forest. And if you look at even the Hasdeo forest incident, the people who actually knew more about that forest and what the biodiversity was actually doing for the environment were the people who were living there.
The American hunting system is a clear example for this.
Yes. So they know that that aspect of things. So the decision should be made around that, and the central government cannot decide, oh, okay, the country wants wood, so let's cut down that forest. No, that cannot happen. Like we cannot be the ones sitting there on our high horses and telling them, kill your environment. That's not the way it's going to happen.
Rishabh is making a comment that for private companies, why do these companies without public money need any oversight at all?
They don't.
ओवरसाइट तो आपको, आप अगर उसको स्टडी करोगे कि यहाँ पे आईपीओ वगैरह कैसे रजिस्टर होता है, तो आपको पता चलेगा कि आप सोचते हो कि बहुत स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड प्रोसेस है, मगर स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड प्रोसेस नहीं होता. आपको सीएस को, सेबी के ऑफिसर्स को पे ऑफ करना पड़ता है, उसके बाद आपका आईपीओ लिस्ट होता है. तो ओवरसाइट कुछ नहीं होती, सिर्फ ब्राइबरी फनल ही रह जाती है वो.
म्यूनिसिपैलिटी की पावर्स कैसे इंक्रीज करेंगे?
बजट, सबसे पहले तो बजट से इंप्रूव करो, उसके बाद फिर अपना थोड़ा डेवोल्यूशन ऑफ वो करो कि ये तुम्हारा डोमेन वो कराया खास budget
equal platform for these municipalities is also very, 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 very important. Right now, certain are like, it's all up and down. They all should be given a fair chance to compete and govern.
What is your go on.
One full swoop में सारे प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व नहीं हो जाएंगी, मगर पॉलिटिकल रेटरिक बात अलग है, मगर थोड़ा साइकिल से लगेंगे, क्योंकि ग्रेट लीडर प्रॉब्लम रहेगी. पता नहीं किस एरिया को किस टाइम पे ग्रेट लीडर मिलेगा जो कि उसकी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर सके, तो वो रहेगी प्रॉब्लम. तो थोड़ा सा साइकिल्स हो सकती है, फर्स्ट 5 इयर्स में ना हो, नेक्स्ट 5 इयर्स में हो. तो मगर डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन में क्या होगी, आपके पास चांस होगा. अभी क्या होता है, आप अगर आप किसी को पॉलिटिशियन बनना, तो सबसे पहले सोचते हैं कि मैं एमएलए बनूं या मैं एमपी बन जाऊं, यही तो है. कोई ये नहीं सोचता कि हाँ मैं तो मेयर बनूंगा. और जो टर्म्स भी हैं वो भी 5 इयर्स वाले हैं, तो 5 इयर्स काफी ज्यादा लंबा टाइम हो जाता है. तो डिसेंट्रलाइज सिस्टम में क्या होगा, और हम उसको भी कोशिश करेंगे कि डिसेंट्रलाइज में भी हम उस लेवल पे चले जाएं, डायरेक्ट डेमोक्रेसी की बजाय, डायरेक्ट डेमोक्रेसी उसकी बजाय, रिप्रेजेंटेटिव की बजाय. तो उसमें क्या होगा, साइकिल्स फास्टर होंगे, तो आप मिस्टेक्स करोगे तो आप उसको जल्दी इंप्रूव कर सकते हो.
Yes. What is your definition of government? You meaning the Libertarian Party's definition of government?
Government is the protector of individual rights, or heuristically speaking, the referee in the game of the free market that we all are playing.
In the last stream, Tushar said that if guns are only kept in home, there's no point of having them. I understand about handguns, but assault rifles should they be allowed to be carried outside the home?
अगर आप अब यार देखो, ये उसकी बात है. अगर आपने कोई लॉ बना दे कि आप असॉल्ट राइफल लेके नहीं जा सकते, और कोई आपके एरिया में सरफिरा घूम रहा है, तो आप क्या करोगे? लॉ फॉलो करोगे या उसको करोगे?
हाँ, क्योंकि प्रिंसिपल तो सेम ही है. राइटर्स को हम रोकेंगे कि नहीं?
Nobody in a club, these are all up to the private institutions, right? Nobody in a hotel is going to allow you.
ये कैसे अज्यूम कर लेता कि कोई गन्स लेके घूम रहा है, इसके मतलब ये नहीं कि उस पर लायबिलिटी खत्म होगी. लॉ फिर भी अप्लाई होता ही है उस पे.
मर्डर फिर भी लीगली है.
मर्डर लीगली है. और दूसरी बात ये कि अगर सिस्टम वो अगर गन्स आ जाएंगे सिस्टम में तो सिस्टम अडेप्ट करेगा उसके हिसाब से कि भाई हम कैसे इंश्योर करें लोगों की सेफ्टी. गन्स को रिमूव करना तो आप राइट टू सेल्फ डिफेंस को रिमूव कर रहे हो ना. अब उसकी जैसे उसकी अभी एक डिस्कशन ये होती है कि अपना कार मॉडिफिकेशन अलाउड नहीं है इंडिया में. उसका रीजन ये दिया हुआ है कि भाई अपना कोई कार मॉडिफाई करके क्राइम करना शुरू कर देगा. तो उसकी बजाय
if guns are not going to be allowed, then nobody should be allowed guns, including government officials, or remove guns completely. No, just keep it for the military or whatever it is, and that will be the only thing. And remove it for everybody. Why should these pockets of people be able to have these guns and nobody
political
else?
gundas have the guns, rich people have private security, the law-abiding middle class doesn't have guns.
Doesn't have guns. That's not fair.
और अभी और जो रिसेंट हुआ था अभी बैंक के कर्नाटक में जो इंसिडेंट हुआ था वो बेचारा उसका एक ओडिशा से था उसका डेथ हो गई. वो फॉरेन से प्रोटेक्ट करते वैसे कुछ था ना.
राइट. आई डोंट नो.
अभी कुछ वो टूरिस्ट आए थे उनके साथ.
ओह अच्छा. या
Yeah, like those criminals wouldn't have even approached them if we had gun rights. Yeah.
और क्या.
तो अभी कार मॉडिफिकेशन से याद आया, when I used to ride bikes, I knew this, but I don't know if this is the case even now, that anyone who goes on long rides or is part of proper riding groups and stuff use proper helmets and proper riding equipment, right? So the ISI marked helmets, which are the only legal ones in India, are the absolute worthless and horseshit helmets. If you drop it from your hand, they might break. Whereas the good ones were DOT certified helmets. DOT was the American certification companies or the agency, and they were illegal. And the Kolkata police never really fucked with people wearing DOT helmets because they had no fucking clue what's an ISI helmet and DOT helmet. But I got news that people in Pune were getting arrested and fined for wearing safer goddamn DOT helmets and not wearing the hotshit ISI marked helmets.
Yeah, this is a typical case of how privatization can actually help here, because at the end of the day, the community will decide which is the safest helmet for them.
Yes.
We just mandate, helmets are mandatory, but at the end of the day, you decide. One person falls and dies with one DOT helmet, nobody is going to buy that. But one person falls and dies with the ISI, probably nobody is going to buy that ever again. But since it is mandated, you now have no choice. So which is ridiculous.
And the other thing that most people who hate wearing helmets don't get, that the reason that they hate wearing helmets is because they have worn only bad helmets designed by or approved by ISI. The DOT helmets are so beautiful. Yes. It's an insanity. It's a torture to ride with ISI certified helmets. DOT helmets are so beautiful. They are insanely safe, and you have peripheral vision, and they are comfortable, and no dust gets in. And if you do meet with an accident, the glasses actually come off the helmet and then fly away. They don't break and get into your eyes. Yeah. All of this happens the opposite way in the ISI marked helmets. That's why people don't wear helmets.
So my point to this is basically how is ISI the great governing authority for understanding the market potential of these helmets? Like at the end of the day, for example, these DOT guys, these helmet manufacturers themselves, they get customer feedback on everything, from the ability of its fitment to how it fits this and that and everything else, and they are getting it every day, and things are evolving every day. How is ISI able to keep up with all of this?
So what happens then? The ones who are educated about biking equipment, they end up wearing the illegal helmets. I'll wear the illegal helmets. I want to stay alive. Why will I wear the unsafe, bad ISI helmets?
Yeah, this is the same thing that happens across every industry. It's not just the helmet industry. Like, why are we forced to buy things that are ill thought of by a central planner, rather than go and focus on a private company that has done its research, that is having customers who are making these testimonials. That is what matters.
In the last stream, Tushar said that if this one though we just did. Wait. Here's a question. I'll just need to just go away. My dog is scratching on the door. He wants to come in here. By the time you answer this, can private firms get tax benefits for doing charity for the society? Should they get tax benefits?
There won't be any tax. It will be very negligible. So everybody pays tax. Don't worry about that. Right? No.
charity events. Private firms के पास incentive है charity करने का, और charity है incentive है PR, good PR.
Charity itself means that you are selfless. You're doing something selfless. What benefit do you actually require? At the end of the day, it will be the same, because every business is going to be paying very, very little only. In the libertarian system, they're all going to be paying very little only. So there is no reason to differentiate a charity from anything else.
और इनसे positive PR के लिए अभी ये जो सारी इनकी जो कंपनीज की फाउंडेशंस हैं, इनका ये पॉजिटिव पीआर की तो काम करती हैं, तो नेचुरली इंसेंटिव, डूइंग गुड इज अ
Exactly.
इंसेंटिव.
Exactly. And when actually the government mandates companies to do charity and stuff or do CSR and stuff, that's when corruption happens, because then the company ends up donating to specific NGOs which are run indirectly or thrice removed by a politician. Is democracy the worst form of governance according to you?
मगर alternatives तो और worse हैं.
Okay. Then what do you expect from the society?
कौन expect?
Explore your freedom. Like, go ahead and just no barrier on you.
Live and let
Go
live.
ahead and just do it.
Yeah.
Like, we want like a billion. We want billion Elon Musk. We don't want just one. Like, go out there and like create in like every field possible. Like, we will not stop you at all.
Yeah.
Like, there will be nothing placed on you. Go ahead and just be the best you can be. Because we are tired of hearing just one person's name in the news like all the time, or 5 people's names. There should be, think of content. If we are doing the same thing every day, who consumes it? Will you watch the same movie like for 100 years? No. We want like 10 billionaires created every day, if that is even humanly possible. Like, go out there and like get it done.
Yeah. I have a request. Ask them to cover the issue of how railways can be improved. How railways can be improved through privatization, and why or how the poor people still can afford railway tickets. Then also, this is good. This is a good question. Privatization means unaffordability, according to a lot of people. He's playing devil's advocate. So, should railways be privatized?
It's a very good question. I love this. Yeah.
कितना डिफिकल्ट है लोगों को पॉइंट ऐसे पॉइंट भी ले जाना. तो पहली बात तो ये, अगर रेलवेज को चीप करना है तो डबल डेकर, ट्रिपल डेकर, वो तो एक इंजीनियरिंग की प्रॉब्लम है, और वो बिजनेसमैन के ऊपर वो डिसाइड करता है कि किस तरीके से मैं सबसे इकोनॉमिकली लोगों को पॉइंट ए से पॉइंट बी तक ले जा सकता हूँ, वो भी एक फ्लैट ट्रैक पे. तो इतनी कोई खास बड़ी बात नहीं. और इंडिया मतलब कि जो वो है गंगा यमुना बेल्ट है, वो फ्लैट है मोस्टली, तो पॉपुलेशन डेंसिटी भी हाई है, तो इतनी ज्यादा कोई बड़ी डिमांड की इतनी ज्यादा कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. तो आपको इंजीनियरिंग प्रॉब्लम से फिगर आउट करना पड़ेगा कि क्या सबसे बेस्ट सोल्यूशन होगा. मगर इस वक्त क्या है कि स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन करी हुई है कि भाई सिर्फ सिंगल डेकर ही होंगे और इतना प्राइसेस होगा और ये इतने बोगीज होंगे उसमें. उसका मार्केट इन्फॉर्मेशन से कोई रिलेशन ही नहीं है, क्योंकि कंसर्न ही नहीं है गवर्नमेंट. तो अब होना तो ये चाहिए कि भाई अपना कंपनीज को पता होगी, एंटिसिपेट कर लेंगे कि अभी ये सीजन आने वाला है, तो हम ऑटोमेटिकली अपने बोगीज बढ़ा देते हैं, इस टाइप से चीजें. मगर गवर्नमेंट ऑपरेट नहीं करती उस पर. तो फिर अपना जो अभी प्रयागराज वाला केस हुआ था, प्राइवेट कंपनीज को ऑटोमेटिकली पता होता है कि भाई हाँ, अगर इतने सारे लोग जा रहे हैं तो फिर हमें कैपेसिटी रखनी चाहिए उस हिसाब से. फिर वो ऑर्डर्स देके रखते हैं कि भाई हमें इतने उसकी जरूरत है और इस प्राइसिंग पे हम कम्पीट करेंगे. क्योंकि बसेस की ये किसी को नहीं सुनने को मिला कि बसेस की शॉर्टेजेस थी, मगर एक स्पेस में जरूर शॉर्टेज सुनने को मिली थी. और ये भी किसी ने कंप्लेंट करी, ओ बसेस बहुत एक्सपेंसिव है.
No, actually, I think the layperson misconception about railway privatization or the fears over railway privatization is mainly that railways don't have any random place to move around. After all, there's one specific railway track, and therefore not too many companies can operate.
Yeah, let me just address this railway, because it will address a lot of things, in the sense that let's put forth the libertarian principles into the railway scenario, right? First of all, it is free trade. So which means all raw materials for all these trains and all that you don't get in India and all, you can source it from anywhere in the world for literally no customs duty, nothing like that, no nonsense like that. So all your raw materials to make an engine are already now cheaper. All your you can get help from any country in the world if you don't have the knowledge to do it, right? So you make bogies from this country, you make this one from that, source everything together. You can make a much cheaper train than what the government is giving right now. And the best part of technology is there are going to be players on every levels. So making a track might be way more simpler if you can get your raw material sourced at a much cheaper rate than anywhere else. Which means that like even the Indian companies can't sit there and say, hey, we want to protect our industry. Why? Because there is demand for way more than your production, and there is demand for way more than the world's production in India now, because one guy will need there will be 10 or 15 different train operators who are operating on multiple levels, right from the luxury level to the local level, because you take 5 rupees from everybody also, you stand to make $1 billion industry based on that 5. Same thing with mobile phones. You can buy one for 1 lakh, or you can now buy one for like 4,000 or 3,000, or
Yeah.
it's
Exactly.
fixed money. So the same thing will happen to this industry with
Yes.
the libertarian
That's what.
principles involved.
How does the market benefit if no one can afford it? That's what I don't get about these questions. He was of course playing devil's advocate, but this is a
Yeah,
common
of course,
misconception with anything privatization.
Yes.
I have no idea what this is, but our finance bro is asking, India में hockey stick growth कब आएगा?
कुछ sort of
Okay, so
experience
he's
करी है.
asking for a huge upswing. Like if everybody is
Sort of हो ही
empowered,
रही है. 1991 में जो शुरू हुई थी, उसके बाद थोड़ा सा ग्राफ इंप्रूव होता ही जा रहा है.
you look at your own locality, yeah.
He's from Kolkata, so he's not going to see hockey stick growth. LPI, how will you tackle inflation that occurs due to a growing economy?
Market will self-regulate, so the inflation will not be as high.
And
in fact, Javier Milei has brought down inflation by opening up the market. So
yes.
like it's a proven concept. It's happening right now. Yes, some people may say, "Oh, Argentina is a different country and India is a different." For some reason, we are so special in these regards where economic things don't apply to India for a lot of people. But at the end of the day, it is working. Something that was written in a textbook years ago is being put to practice right now. And inflation is dropping like a stone.
Yeah. Bakurabashi is commenting that railways can be improved if railways start charging actual ticket price instead of subsidy on passenger rail. Okay. Why don't you, the LPI, start prices and cost education to people? Why don't you start educating people?
हम start करेंगे अभी तो हमने शुरुआत करी है. आप अभी सारी चीजें पाइपलाइन में हैं.
Yeah.
Come to our event. Come to our event in Gurgaon on March 29th. We are going to be discussing a lot of these things as well. So
वहाँ पे इस पे एड्रेस है, स्पेसिफिकली कैपिटलिज्म पे एड्रेस करेंगे. अगर आप जानते हो कॉस्ट ले रहे हैं, वो एड्रेस करेंगे इस पे.
Yeah. Nino is saying that doesn't rent seeking mean bribe taking as well?
Sort of, मगर उसमें वो वाली चीज नहीं कि आप you put up the money once और उसके बाद फिर आप perpetually मतलब sort of है. ठीक है, you get the job once और उसके बाद फिर आप perpetually earn कर रहे हो, मगर फिर भी downside कम है. Property क्या मतलब क्या land गायब हो जाएगी?
How will you guys tackle forced conversion and mob culture?
Not up to us. It is up to
the question is, why does it exist now? Like people are struggling to make a living, so like you can hear these terms like rice bags and all of that. At the end of the day, people are willing to change their religion for a bag of rice.
Right.
Why is that happening?
आप इस प्रॉब्लम में इंटरेस्टेड हो, आप इस प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व करो. मगर अभी प्रॉब्लम क्या है, गवर्नमेंट ने आर्टिफिशियल रिस्ट्रिक्शंस लगाई हुई हैं कि नहीं टेंपल्स को हम रेगुलेट करेंगे, नहीं आप ये बोल सकते, आप ये नहीं बोल सकते. तो प्रॉब्लम वहां से शुरू हो रही है. हमें आपका कल्चर, आपको कल्चर अपना बढ़िया लगता है, प्रमोट करो उसको ऑब्वियसली.
एंड मॉब कल्चर
लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की प्रॉब्लम है, और लॉ एनफोर्समेंट तो फिर
do you consider Prashant Kishore's Jan Suraj party a libertarian party?
नहीं.
No.
How will you tackle the north-south divide and also mainland India versus northeast India divide?
Most of these divides are just on language. You look at the business people, they don't care whether you're from north or south or east or west. Like all this is based on like some silly thing like language or the way you look or whatever. All those things will not be there in the libertarian system, because people will be really focused on making money for themselves and their families and living a good life. So you don't have to worry about these things.
How will you sell and package libertarianism for rural India? What will be your pitch to them? What issues will you address for rural India?
हमने इस पे डेलिबरेट किया नहीं, क्योंकि हमारे थोड़ी प्रायोरिटी इस डायरेक्शन में है कि बाय 2030 इंडिया 40% के आसपास अर्बन होगा.
He is asking a counter question on the rent seeking aspect that मेरे पैसे मुझे रिस्क नहीं लेना, मैं घर ले लिया, तुम्हें क्या है?
पहली बात तो ये आपका रिस्क है. अब आप सोच रहे हो कि पैसा सेव है तो नहीं है.
Yeah, but good for you is what I would say. Good for you, you were able to buy a house. But there are plenty who aren't able to buy a house because rent seeking has pushed it to a level where people can't afford a house. So good for you, man. Like, great. That's
हम तो बल्कि
in a
चाहते हैं कि आपके
very
और
tough.
ज्यादा हाउसेस हो. हम तो यही करेंगे, आप एक
Yeah,
हाउस की अफोर्ड कर सकते हो सिर्फ, आप और चाहिए
yeah,
आप और लो. मगर प्रॉब्लम ये है कि आर्टिफिशियल स्कार्सिटी वाली कि लैंड
yes.
लैंड प्लेंटी है मगर हाउसिंग प्लेंटी नहीं है.
Yeah, at the end of the day, there should be other avenues where you can double, triple your money that is not as risky as a stock market, that is based on your skills. You know, your actual skills. Instead of just saying, I'm going to buy something that another person has built, even though I don't need it, and then I'm going to put that on rent, and then I'm going to collect that rent, and that is my business. That's not a business. You can do much better than that. Go ahead and do that. You know.
और
Okay.
दूसरी बात ये, अगर कैपिटल एलोकेशन की टर्म्स में बात करें, रेंट प्रॉपर्टी रेंट मतलब थर्ड या फोर्थ में आता है. सबसे हाईएस्ट नंबर पे शायद स्टॉक मार्केट है, सेकंड नंबर पे शायद गोल्ड है शायद. नहीं, आर्ट मार्केट ऐसे कुछ, आर्ट मार्केट, स्टॉक मार्केट, और उसके बाद फिर गोल्ड और फिर प्रॉपर्टी. मतलब प्रॉपर्टी के रिटर्न इतने कुछ खास नहीं है जितने आप सोच रहे हो.
Okay. How will you stop cartels?
सबसे पहले तो कार्टेल होती कैसे है. जैसे अगर हम सबसे बड़ी हिस्ट्री की सबसे बड़ी कार्टेल की बात करें तो वो थी स्टैंडर्ड ऑयल. फिर उसके लिए फिर एंटी ट्रस्ट लॉ आया था, वो सारा कुछ. मगर वो क्या, इवेंचुअली वो फिर सारे जुड़ गए. तो ऐसी जो वो बात है, जो कार्टेलाइजेशन की फॉर्मेशन होती है वो इसी वजह से होती है कि आप गवर्नमेंट को राइट दे देते हो कि आप किसी चीज को एक्सक्लूसिव कर सकते हो. कि जैसे उसने लॉबी किया कि मेरे को एक्सक्लूसिव राइट दे दो इस जगह का, मैं उसको वो नहीं करूँ. मतलब कि मेरे को लीगल मैंडेट मिल गया कि ये ऑयल फील्ड या फिर ये स्प्रिंग मेरा है पूरा का पूरा. तो गवर्नमेंट ही क्रिएट करती है, जो भी ये जो क्रिएट करती है ना अपना मोनोपोली, और उसके बाद फिर जो सारी जो उसके बाद फिर सारे खुल मिल के डिसाइड कर लेते हैं कि हम चलो यही प्राइसेस रखेंगे. तो वो गवर्नमेंट इंटरवेंशन से ही शुरू होता है वो. क्योंकि मार्केट कंपटीशन में तो सारे वो कोशिश करते हैं ना कि मेरे पास उसके मुकाबले ज्यादा बिजनेस है, तो वही कम्पीट कर रहे होते हैं एक दूसरे के साथ. मगर गेम तब फ्लिप हो जाती है अगर एक प्लेयर कन्विंस कर ले सबको कि चलो मिलके सारे वो करते हैं. मगर फिर कोई अपस्टार्ट आ जाता है, अगर नेचुरल मार्केट ऑपरेट करते हैं तो कोई अपस्टार्ट आ जाता है और वो फिर मार्केट को डिस्टर्ब करने, जो क्रिएटिव डिस्ट्रक्शन वाला प्रोसेस होता है ना, वो तभी पॉसिबल है अगर फ्री मार्केट ऑपरेट कर रही है. तो कार्टेलाइजेशन कभी टिकती नहीं है इतनी आसानी से.
Yeah. Here's a counter argument on the rent seeking aspect again, that how dare you, he's being sarcastic and calling you socialist. He's saying that how dare you use your own hard earned money to do what you want. You shall only do what we tell you, but still we are liberals, not socialists.
नहीं, मैं वो नहीं कह रहा कि आप प्रॉपर्टी ओन ना करो, मैं उसके बारे में बिल्कुल बात नहीं कर रहा. मैं बल्कि बात करूँ कि सोशलिस्ट है वो बेसिकली रेंट सीकिंग को वो बना के, मतलब रेंट सीकिंग जो एक्चुअली मुद्दा रेंट सीकिंग है उसको मुद्दा बना के फिर दूसरी सारी चीजें घुसा देते हैं कि किसी के पास प्रॉपर्टी नहीं होनी चाहिए या ये सब होना चाहिए. एक्चुअल प्रॉब्लम रेंट सीकिंग और लो रिस्क, मतलब अगर थोड़ा और फर्स्ट प्रिंसिपल जाऊं, लैक ऑफ रिस्क टेकिंग ज्यादा बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है. क्योंकि आपने एक बार प्रॉपर्टी बना दी तो फिर वो परपेचुअली फीड करती रहेगी आपको. और
yeah, a lot of people
अच्छी
don't
बात है,
really
आपने
want to
आपने
take a
एफर्ट
risk
मारा,
in
आपको तो
India.
ऐसा आपने
A lot of
अच्छी
people
बात है,
don't
आपने
really
एफर्ट
want
मारा,
to
आपको
take a
मिलना
risk
चाहिए.
in India, so that is why everything is a high risk in India. You start a business, there could be a regulation that will tear your business down. If that next minute, like your employees could lose job, you could lose your house, you could have debtors after you. So that is why a lot of people just say, "Hey, I can just buy a house and I can rent seek from there." So at the end of the day, we are losing out on innovation. Why? Simply because there is some silly regulation that exists. Remove these regulations. That's what the Libertarian Party will do. We'll remove all of this. So you will have a lesser risk of even doing R&D. Why is India not doing R&D? Big risk, man. You R&D means what? You're doing something unknown. So which means you don't know what regulations could come later. The moment you're successful, somebody could just drop in a regulation. What will you do after that? Your entire so-called R&D is down the drain. Every money you invested to do that is down the drain. And R&D is not cheap if you have to source raw materials from other countries. R&D is figuring out something that doesn't exist, right? That is what R&D is. And you need a new material from another country. You have somehow managed to make it happen. Suddenly a regulation comes, this material, 90% taxes. What will you do now? So who will take a risk on this R&D.
Wait.
It's easier to buy a house. Go ahead and buy a house. My son will
और
get
इसका
rent,
बेस्ट
my
एग्जांपल
daughter
अभी जो
will get rent.
चाइना में जो हो रहा है, जब उनकी प्रॉपर्टी मार्केट कोलैप्स कर रही है, उनके पास 3 बिलियन पीपल को हाउस करने के लिए हाउसिंग यूनिट्स है। वो इसी वजह से, क्योंकि चाइनीज स्टॉक्स बॉन्ड्स में इन्वेस्ट नहीं करते, वो सिर्फ डायरेक्टली प्रॉपर्टी में इन्वेस्ट करते, क्योंकि वो अकेला जो ऐसे वो गवर्नमेंट के एक्शन से सेफ था, रिलेटिवली सेफ था। तो
राइट,
अगर आपकी प्रॉपर्टी में हाई इन्वेस्टमेंट है तो इसका यही इंडिकेटर है कि पीपल आर टेकिंग इनफ रिस्क। उससे प्रॉब्लम नहीं है कि भाई प्रॉपर्टी ना खरीदो, मगर प्रॉब्लम उससे कि जो आप रिस्क टेकिंग के मतलब कि रिस्क टेकिंग की जो एवर्जन है ना, उससे प्रॉब्लम है। वो पॉलिसी डिबेट नहीं है, वो उसकी डिबेट है, मतलब इन जनरल डिबेट है कि हमें रिस्क टेकिंग डायरेक्शन में होना चाहिए अगर इकोनॉमिकली ग्रो करना है। अब थॉमस एडिसन डिसाइड कर लेता है कि भाई मैंने ये पैटर्न सिक्योर कर लिया, चलो मैं खेती करता हूँ आराम से।
राइट। How would they deal with education with such a population? Only rich can go there.
Yeah, that is right now. That is the situation right now. Only the rich can afford so-called good education. But then, that is right now. In a libertarian system, this won't exist. You will have choices of multiple types of education, including different languages that you want.
मैं तो पर्सनली आर्ग्यू करूंगा कि एजुकेशन की कॉस्ट अब जीरो हो चुकी है इंटरनेट के आने पे, यूट्यूब वगैरह उस आने पे इंटरनेट की कॉस्ट जीरो हो चुकी है।
कॉस्ट तो सर्टिफिकेशन एंड एग्जामिनेशन का है। वो भी एक्चुअल कॉस्ट नहीं है, थोड़ा बहुत वहाँ पे मेटाफिजिकल डिजायर वगैरह भी है।
और वैसे भी आप उसको कॉस्ट की तरीके से क्यों देख रहे हो? आप उसको इन्वेस्टमेंट की तरीके से क्यों देख रहे हो कि इसको मैं इसके लिए पे करूंगा और बदले में रिटर्न आएगा मेरे को?
या how big should be the Indian constitution? If I'm right, American one is very small.
We should be smaller than the American constitution, really. At the end of the day, we should be very simple.
ये कोई पॉइंट ऑफ प्राइड नहीं है कि हमारा सबसे लंबा संविधान है।
Yeah, it was taught to us as a point of pride that we have the most gigantic one. We have the best parts from all constitutions.
पता नहीं, शायद मैं बचपन से लिबर्टेरियन था, never could understand कि इससे क्या होगा अगर लंबा है तो।
Good question here. Do you support civil defamation laws, especially in cases of reputational and economic harm?
नहीं, ये फ्री स्पीच के अंदर आता है तो नहीं।
We cannot do that.
So no libel laws.
No.
Like what about claims that what about direct claims, like let's say, did I say that Ambani has taken 5,000 crores from Mamata Banerjee to do something, or the vice versa, etc.
Yeah, that will not exist in the libertarian system. No, what are they going to take money from us for?
No,
but it's about the claim, not what happened in reality.
फैक्ट चेकर्स बैठे हैं, कोई इसका कुछ ना कुछ मार्केट ऑल्टरनेटिव निकल के ही आएगा इस चीज का। अगर ये इतनी बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है तो आप उसके बारे में सोचने की जरूरत है कि आप सोल्यूशन सोचो कि भाई आउटसाइड द गवर्नमेंट क्या सोल्यूशन हो सकता है। और गवर्नमेंट कितना अच्छे से कर ले रही है, अगर आप वो भी कह रहे हो कि लाइबल लॉज होने चाहिए, तो गवर्नमेंट कितने अच्छे से एडमिनिस्टर कर रही है इनको, बायस तरीके से कर रही है एडमिनिस्टर। जिसके पास ज्यादा पैसा होता है, वो जिसके पास पैसा नहीं होता उसको तो बात ही है। क्यों तो है नहीं कि भाई जस्टिस सिस्टम में परफेक्टली ऑपरेट कर रहे हैं कि हाँ one who is absolutely weak and one who is absolutely strong, he bows to the strong, bows to the weak. ये तो हो नहीं रहा।
Who will decide what's free speech and the level of free speech that is allowed?
Like in this platform that we are talking right now, YouTube will decide that. You know, at the end of the day, if you don't want to be on YouTube, moving
target है, कुछ फिक्स आंसर नहीं है इन चीजों का। मगर गवर्नमेंट डिसाइड नहीं करेगी, ये बिल्कुल कंफर्म है कि गवर्नमेंट हैज नो बिजनेस इन रेगुलेटिंग स्पीच।
Let's say something happens right on this podcast itself, right, with respect to free speech, that one of us have said something. The amount of reports that YouTube gets, now they will start an investigation with their very capable team that they already have. They will start the investigation because they don't want to lose users over this. So these will all automatically self-regulate. We don't have to worry about that.
Will vaccination be pushed down people's throats under LPI's reign?
Obviously not.
Never.
Will LPI take out government interference from personal and family laws? Will they reform Hindu marriage bill?
Yes.
Totally.
Okay. Why do we not divide India into 543 princely states? Because that would be very decentralized.
Amazing.
Princely states.
States meaning not princely states. That's I think the wrong. But governance should be like kind of decentralized in a sense.
But there has to be a government. Buddha Bhattacharya is being sarcastic, but he's hinting at the ancient Indian system. So different kingdoms here and there, but there was no central government. We are talking about a government which exists but is decentralized. Back then, we did not have a government which was decentralized.
Yes. We'll still be the referees. So at the end of the day, there is
Right.
a government, but we are not going to
Yeah.
interfere with things that
Yeah.
don't matter. At the end of the day, there has to be that law and order maintained, even if it is a football match, just like that. We will be there to ensure
Okay.
you don't just tackle somebody and push them.
Yeah, I was taking the comments in order, but I'll just take this very important one that Rishi is asking that. So a polio-like disease, in that case also, you will do no mandatory vaccination.
पेरेंट्स चाहते हैं उनके बच्चों को वो हो पोलियो हो.
But he's pointing out that there's a point of the issue of herd immunity. So even if I don't want my kids to not get polio, my kids will still be vulnerable to polio because someone else didn't vaccinate their kids.
तो आप बिल्कुल फ्री हो, कैंपेन करो उसके लिए अगर आपको इस इशू के लिए इतना फील होता है तो. और लोग ऑब्वियसली करते ही हैं लॉबिंग और कैंपेनिंग, तो लोग करते हैं. ये तो है नहीं कि भाई एनजीओ वगैरह ये जो भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस तो बनती रहती है ना इश्यूज को एड्रेस करने के लिए. तो आप भी शुरू कर देना इसके लिए कि वैक्सीनेशन के लिए हम ऑर्गेनाइजेशन शुरू कर रहे हैं. तो
yeah, somehow everybody feels like, you know, if a central government did not bring this vaccine, we would have never eradicated polio. That's not
मैं
true.
वही तो समझाने की कोशिश
That's
कर रहा
really not
हूँ.
true.
हम जिस सिस्टम को प्रमोट कर रहे हैं उसमें आप एक्चुअली प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर सकते हो. आप किसी पे डिपेंडेंट होने की जरूरत नहीं. आपको इशू के बारे में फील होता है, यू गो आउट. जो ऑलरेडी सॉल्व कर रहा है उसको या तो उसको ज्वाइन कर लो, या अगर कोई सॉल्व नहीं कर रहा अपना स्टार्ट कर लो. जिस तरीके से बिजनेस ऑपरेट करता है कि अगर कोई प्रॉब्लम कोई बिजनेस प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व नहीं कर रहा तो आप खुद सॉल्व करना शुरू कर दो, और अगर कोई ऑलरेडी सॉल्व कर रहा है आप उसको ज्वाइन कर लो.
Do labor unions have any purpose other than collective bargaining?
वो बैलेंस ऑफ पावर वाली बात है, बाकी तो क्या ही है.
Yeah, right. I can understand libertarianism existing in a society of plenty, but can it be realistically implemented or started in a society with scarce resources? And if yes, could you share that roadmap?
With sparse resources, which society is there with
Koi-
sparse resources at the moment?
Like India, a poor country allegedly.
I mean, like you take the case of Argentina, right? I mean, they do have some resources, but they don't have everything. They're such a small country, probably 7% of our population. Libertarianism actually helped them. So I don't
सबसे
know.
पहली बात
Like,
तो ये
if you are a free trade, yes. If you are a sparse thing, just open up free trade so you can fill your gaps with just easily buying things from places that already have those resources. No, why reinvent the wheel? Why reinvent the wheel? You know, you can just go and get it from wherever
India-
it is that you want. The government will not put like 100% tax on things. Like it'll be just a, you know, either no taxes if a proper libertarian system is implemented.
पहली बात तो इंडिया आर्टिफिशियली पुअर है. हमारे पास 1.4 बिलियन के ह्यूमन रिसोर्स है, ठीक है. दूसरी बात नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज, हाँ यूएसए लेवल के नहीं है हमारे पास, मगर ठीक है फिर भी. और फ्री जो रिसोर्सेज नहीं है, हमारी जो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है वो हमारी जोग्राफिक लोकेशन है. हमारे मिडिल ईस्ट हमारे एक साइड है, ठीक है. साउथ ईस्ट एशिया हमारे एक साइड है. जो हमारा इंडियन ओशियन से हमारा एक्सेस सारे मतलब कि सारी कंट्रीज से ही है, और अफ्रीका हमारे साइड में ही है. तो हमारी जो स्ट्रेटेजिक लोकेशन है वो सबसे ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है हमारे लिए, और वो सबसे बड़ा एसेट हमारा कवर्ड है. हम कुछ भी हम सबके साथ ट्रेड कर सकते हैं, और अगर कोई हमारे साथ प्रॉब्लम करे तो हम रिटेलिएट करके दूसरे ऑप्शंस भी हैं हमारे पास, क्योंकि काफी ट्रेड फ्लो करता है हमारे आसपास. और हिस्टोरिकली भी एग्जांपल लें तो 25-30% ऑफ द ग्लोबल इकोनॉमी इंडिया ही थी. क्यों थी? क्योंकि हाई पॉपुलेशन थी और ट्रेड था इंडिया. एक आपको माइंड बॉगलिंग स्टैटिस्टिक देता हूँ. रोमन एम्पायर का 1/3 ऑफ द रेवेन्यू इंडियन ट्रेड के उससे आता था, टैक्सेशन से आता था.
Think of Dubai, for example. What do they have? They don't even have oil. Why a lot of Indians wanting to rush to Dubai now? Like, what is there? You utilize what you have as a country to make things work. They are utilizing their guile, their business sense, their marketing savvy, which you wouldn't expect a country like that to just do. And they just did it. And you all want to be there in spite of the 60-degree heat in summer. You want to rush there. Why? So
और
utilize
सिंपल सी चीज है,
your people.
हमारे पास सिंपल एक्सपेरिमेंट है। इंडिपेंडेंस के 1947 से 1991 तक हमने सोशलिस्ट एक्सपेरिमेंट ट्राई करके देखा, फुल ऑन सोशलिज्म, उसमें रिजल्ट्स देख लो। और 1991 से 2025 तक रिलेटिवली फ्री मार्केट हमने इंप्लीमेंट करी है, उसका अब रिजल्ट देख लो कि क्या हुआ है। तो ये चीज फंडामेंटली ही गलत, फाउंडेशनली ही गलत है कि इंडिया इज द पुअरेस्ट रिसोर्सेज। वो वाला टाइम गया जब रिसोर्सेज इतने मैटर करते थे, क्योंकि उस टाइम शिपिंग वगैरह नहीं होती थी इतनी। मगर अब आप खुद भी कुछ ना कुछ ऐसा यूज कर रहे होगे जो बहुत ही ज्यादा डिस्टेंट लैंड में बना होगा और आपको पता भी नहीं होगा वो कहाँ से। अब हम जो स्मार्टफोन यूज कर रहे हैं उसकी सप्लाई चेन
Exactly.
30 कंट्रीज में उसकी सप्लाई चेन।
Yeah, there are some people who have written about Dubai that they are a monarchy and they have top-notch law and order in place and whatever it is that they are listening to feedback and they are just working like a business. Like whether they are
मगर
a monarchy, it's a single
मगर
company
सिंगापुर तो
running that
monarchy
country.
नहीं है, मगर वो भी अच्छे से ऑपरेट कर रहे
Yeah,
हैं।
I mean that's what the comments are saying, but at the end of the day.
तो ये वही बात है,
go on.
फीडबैक लूप्स जब फास्टर होते हैं तो आप करेक्ट कर सकते हो जल्दी, मगर जब जो पॉइंट है जिसको रिस्पॉन्ड करना है वो बहुत ज्यादा दूर है और उसको इतना ज्यादा फर्क नहीं
Yes.
पड़ता, तो
Yes.
अब जैसे लोग ट्वीट करते हैं कि मिस्टर गडकरी कुछ करो, रोड पे गड्ढे हैं। अब एक ह्यूमन बीइंग इतने मिलियंस लोगों को कैसे सर्व कर सकता है? इम्पॉसिबल चीज है ये। मगर अगर उस एरिया का कोई लोकल इंचार्ज होता है कि जिसकी एक्चुअली ड्यूटी है और मतलब कि स्पेसिफिकली उसी रीजन की ड्यूटी है, तो वो तो रिस्पॉन्ड कर सकता था, मगर उसके पास बजट नहीं है रिस्पॉन्ड करने के लिए।
Yeah. Wait, I'll take another more recent question here that Anand Sridhar is saying, if you want to rely on leakages for free speech, you have no idea what will happen once an unfeeling, horrible algorithm is implemented by private companies.
क्या फर्क पड़ेगा? एक्स ने इतनी स्पीच को ओपन कर दिया, आप एक्स पे कुछ भी लिख सकते हो, कुछ करता है?
I mean,
what do you think of? Yeah, go on.
No.
लॉ एंड ऑर्डर जब स्ट्रिक्ट होगा तो कोई कुछ भी बोले, कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता।
Yes, and plus gun rights. What do you think of neoclassical economics and problems? Yeah, actually that's a pretty broad answer that needs to be applied to all of these questions, that once law and order and gun rights are in place, a lot of these questions won't even exist. A lot of these concerns won't exist.
Right.
We are questioning a lot of things or asking questions on a lot of issues with the presumption that we will never have law and order and gun rights. What do you think of neoclassical economics and problems it raises, like externalities?
What externalities?
यार ये सारे आलतू फालतू स्कूल बना के बैठे हैं, मेरा कोई ओपिनियन इनको लेके।
If I have a factory here and my smoke goes into the neighborhood, in the neighborhood,
टॉर्च लॉ एग्जिस्ट करते हैं एग्जैक्टली उसी चीज के लिए। वही तो बात है, घूम फिर हम फिर टॉर्च लॉ में फिर हम वही वापस आ गए, लॉ एंड ऑर्डर पे वापस आ गए। लॉ इंप्लीमेंट नहीं हो रहा तो टॉर्च का कोई सेंस नहीं बनता।
Is LPI essentially a Bania party?
कुछ प्रॉब्लम है उस चीज में।
What about the problem of free riders that don't give returns to private owners?
तो प्राइवेट ओनर्स ख्याल रखेंगे उनके निकालना कैसे, हमें क्या लेना देना उससे।
The private owners, it's their business. They have to decide that.
Yeah.
Would you encourage homeschooling?
We would encourage whatever it is you feel is best for your child.
आपको जो अपने बच्चे के लिए बढ़िया लगे, who am I to decide?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, how will I know? Like, okay, you could be having a homeschooled, like genius. So who knows?
Yeah. How will libertarianism handle cults and the power of brainwashing? Free speech can't beat that, especially if they manipulate the system.
आप हैंडल करो, आप उसका जैसे अभी एक सिंपल एग्जांपल दूं, एक एनोनिमस ग्रुप से नाम से एक ग्रुप, इंटरनेट ग्रुप है, आपको पता होगा उसके बारे में। तो उन्होंने साइंटोलॉजी के अगेंस्ट कैंपेन चलाया था और दे वर अबाउट टू ब्रेक द चर्च। तो साइंटोलॉजी को गवर्नमेंट की ही मदद लेनी पड़ी अपने आप को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए। तो मैं वही कह रहा हूँ कि आपको कोई प्रॉब्लम लग रही है तो आप उस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, आप अकेले नहीं हो इस दुनिया में जिसको वो प्रॉब्लम लग रही है। दूसरे, अब जैसे मैं मेरी बात करूँ, अब हमारा इंडिया पॉलिटिक्स में थोड़ी सी फ्री मार्केट है, तो मैंने कुछ इनिशिएटिव शुरू किया, मैंने फ्रेंड्स के साथ इनिशिएटिव शुरू किया, आप सारे लोग जुड़ते गए उससे, और फिर इवेंचुअली ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ग्रो करती जा रही है। ऐसी आपको
In a
प्रॉब्लम
libertarian system, it will be much easier for you to connect with other people quickly to come across with these solutions, because that will be your part of your life. You are not
वही तो
looking for the central government to basically solve these kind of issues. You can immediately get to action. So, because these groups would have already started forming, because you are totally free to solve these, mothers can unite to ensure, or parents can unite to ensure that, you can get these people out of the cult, or create an education system that educates people on these cults. So that will automatically happen.
मैं बस सबको ये रिकमेंड करूँ कि सर्च करो फाइट बिटवीन एनोनिमस वर्सेस चर्च ऑफ साइंटोलॉजी। उसमें आपको पता चलेगा कि कैसे स्पॉन्टेनियसली उन्होंने डिसाइड किया कि वी विल टेक केयर ऑफ देम एंड थिंग्स लाइक दैट।
Right. Here's a counter question to the decentralized or multiple kinds of syllabus schools situation. So a guy should study in one school and then in another and then another and compare and contrast and end up hemming and hawing. No, it would be done by the parents and checking the syllabus and then entering their kids into the school. The students
you do that anyway,
themselves are
even
stupid
now.
fucks.
You do that
Exactly.
even now, but your choices
Yes.
are limited. In a libertarian system, you will have plenty of choice, so you talk to more schools.
Yes. How will local governments handle this though we discussed. Statecraft is not as simple as running a business, according to Vimarsh.
डेफिनेटली
Right now, it's not.
अब इस वक्त स्टेट बिजनेस में ज्यादा बिजी है स्टेट क्राफ्ट की बजाय।
Yeah, why are they doing business? Like, what is their problem?
वही तो हमारा बेसिक कंसर्न यही है कि वो नितिन गडकरी की बात बार-बार इसको रिपीट करते हैं कि जिस राज्य की क्या था वो, हाँ, जिस राज्य का राजा व्यापारी उस राज्य की जनता भिखारी। तो अब बताओ ये लिबर्टेरियन थॉट है कि नहीं?
Yeah. By the way, I have a sort of a hypothetical, almost philosophical question that all three of us agree that when a property is private property, it's best run. There's no doubt about that, right? Yeah. So why shouldn't we have monarchies then? When the country is the personal property of the king, wouldn't be most efficiently run?
Again, one person making a decision for the entire country, right? That's crazy. So that's
centralization वाली प्रॉब्लम आ जाती है ना इसमें।
Yeah.
The size is the problem in that situation.
Yeah, totally. That's why decentralized. It's more about the size. Make the decision making quicker with a smaller group of people.
An important question here: what if the school teaches people violence against certain groups? Will you take some actions in that case? That's the full question, really.
फिर violence आई तो फिर उन्होंने non-aggression principle तोड़ दिया ना, automatically action होगा उन पे।
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Could you explain the concept of non-aggression principle?
टेक्निकल डेफिनेशन तो क्या ही बतानी, मतलब बेसिकली ये है, मतलब कि अहिंसा वाला जो प्रिंसिपल है कि आई विल डू नो हार्म टू जो गोल्डन रूल है, सिल्वर रूल है, जो भी है कि अपना वो do take no action or do no harm to others until it's invited by the other party. मतलब कि it's not
it's kind of obvious at this point. Okay, this is a question for me, I think. When will we have channels like Jaipur Dialogues in Bengal? Jaipur Dialogues spent a lot of its own money. Basically, it was Sanjay Dixit's own money, and I think he had some people backing him. But he's a rich retired bureaucrat, and it took a lot of years to gain some foothold. And he had first movers advantage, none of which exists for anyone in Bengal. But still, it can happen. If you have the kind of knowledge that Sanjay Dixit has, and then you toe the line conveniently. Sometimes he goes into pro-BJP phases, and sometimes he goes on anti-BJP phases. He is not that issue-based, I think. He does not criticize something against BJP today, and he doesn't go on criticizing it 5 months down the line. Because if he has gone into a pro-BJP phase all of a sudden, he will ignore those issues completely, or say that issue doesn't matter anymore. Okay, so I don't really want an exact Jaipur Dialogues in Bengal anyway. My Dada and Baap, again a counter question on the rent seeking issue. My Dada and Baap have bought a lot of land, enough for me. I love farming. Any farming policy changes, and will only farming be rent seeking, as I won't do any risk taking?
फार्मिंग रिस्क टेकिंग कैसे नहीं है? फार्मिंग तो वन ऑफ द हाईएस्ट रिस्क टेकिंग
Yeah.
एंटरप्राइज है.
Everybody's got to eat. It is probably a great business. Like, you know, that people now doing micro farming in their homes and making 50 lakhs a month and all of that. Like, it's crazy business. Everybody needs to eat.
और दूसरी बात, वेदर फार्मिंग तो एक्सटर्नल कंडीशंस पे डिपेंडेंट है ना. फार्मिंग तो रिस्क टेकिंग एंटरप्राइज है.
It is a risk.
मगर
If
प्रॉपर्टी
it doesn't rain, you will know the extent of the risk in your farm.
वही तो.
Or you don't have water.
What about HOA in America? What's HOA? Let me just Google this and then. HOA is homeowners association. Do you have anything to say on the homeowners association in America?
कोई आइडिया नहीं है. मगर अगर जहाँ तक यहाँ वालों की बात करें तो वो प्रॉपर्टी राइट्स, अगर जैसे अभी रिसेंटली मैंने एक स्टोरी सुनी थी कि सोसाइटी वालों ने मिलकर डिसाइड किया कि भाई हम जिम का एक्सेस नहीं देंगे जो रेंट पे रह रहे हैं, तो वो प्रॉपर्टी राइट्स का वायलेशन है.
I know of a big that apartment complex society in Kolkata which doesn't let its own I mean the residents who are not even on rent, who have actually bought those flats, even they are not allowed to access the terrace after 7:30 p.m. or 8 p.m.
तो उनका अगर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट उस हिसाब से है तो फिर ठीक है. अगर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट उस हिसाब से नहीं है और कुछ
some guy committed suicide and then it stopped. Then people were not allowed to go up anymore.
So people are free to reopen the negotiations. वो के कोई वो थोड़ा ना होगा कि law of physics हो गया.
Yeah. Is privatization of the Indian judicial system the only way to resolve issues in the legal sector?
सिविल केसेस में आप अगर प्राइवेट आर्बिट्रेशन अलाउ करते तो स्टेट कैपेसिटी काफी ज्यादा सप्लीमेंट कॉम्प्लीमेंट हो सकती है. मगर प्राइवेटाइजेशन थोड़ा टफ क्वेश्चन है कि अपना एग्जैक्ट प्राइवेटाइजेशन एग्जैक्टली जुडिशरी कोई ट्राई करके देखी नहीं गई है. मगर जहां तक आर्बिट्रेशन की बात है, क्रिमिनल केसेस तो मेरे ख्याल से जुडिशरी पे ही रहनी है. मगर सिविल केसेस की बात है वो प्राइवेटाइज करे जा सकते हैं.
Okay. Your ideas are certainly looking very attractive, but what do you think the main challenges you will face just to implement your ideas in the context that we have 1.5 billion people?
हमें जरूर 1.5 बिलियन लोगों को कन्विंस करने की जरूरत नहीं है हमें ना. और कोई किसी भी पार्टी बीजेपी भी इस वक्त 1.5 बिलियन लोगों को कन्विंस करने बैठी है. हमें सिर्फ हार्डली 5 to 10% of the population को कन्विंस करना है. और we are
give us one good case study, like one place is what we are looking for. Give us one, we will turn it around in no time. And that is when it's like this, when you see something else actually work, we need one model, I feel.
वही नेबरहुड फिनोमेना शुरू हो जाएगा ना. कोई एक स्टेट लिबर्टेरियन पॉलिसीज इंप्लीमेंट करना शुरू कर देगी, दूसरी स्टेट्स कंपीट करने के लिए ऑटोमेटिकली सेम चीज करना शुरू कर देगी. ये फ्रीबीज का जो प्लेग है वो दिल्ली से शुरू हुआ था और फिर वो दूसरी स्टेट्स में भी फैल गया. वैसे लिबर्टेरियनिज्म की जो पॉजिटिव वाइब है वो भी दूसरी स्टेट्स तक जा सकती है.
This is a question for me. I'll take it. Please give a book list to become an Indic intellectual. Shimalda Babu, you can't really have a book list and with the goal of becoming an intellectual. You'll have to read every kind of book and then decide which seems a nice way to lead your life or a nice vision for the country. And then you'll end up becoming an Indic intellectual or a pro-West intellectual or a pro-Islam intellectual or a pro-China intellectual. Okay. But I can recommend books by Indic intellectuals. Like Sitaram Goel's How I Became a Hindu. You'll see that how much of Greek philosophy he has read. He has read Greek philosophy inside fucking out. And then he has decided that, no, Indian ideas are better. I would highly recommend Dr. Kaushik Gangopathy who's the economics professor at IIM Kozhikode. His book, Majoritarian Myth. These are very important books. J.S.I. Deepak's India That Is Bharat. India, Bharat, Pakistan is more important than India That Is Bharat, I feel, at this point. Sanjeev Sanyal's books might not be that important these days because everyone knows those interesting tidbits about history. But these days, since I personally focus more on sociology and anthropology kind of books, therefore I would highly recommend Anything and Everything by Veer Savarkar, Nietzsche, Max Weber's book Religion of India, and Pierre Bourdieu and René Girard. I think reading 3-4 intellectuals can give you a nice vision and help you diagnose every problem of India. Nietzsche, Savarkar, René Girard, Pierre Bourdieu. Read these 4 people specifically. Okay, this so we took. What is LPI's views on curbing some liberty for the greater societal good or self-preservation?
What is this? Who decides what a greater societal good is? You do, not us.
वेग क्वेश्चन
No.
कोई यही तो बात है जहाँ पे वेगनेस है उसका आंसर ये है कि हम उसको
Exactly.
Right. Greater societal good, I mean, of what? Of who? For what? For 1.54 billion people? Like how?
Nava Vimarsh is pointing out that China does not do free trade.
China, I mean, like that's the thing. The whole world is shooting themselves in the foot that China, with its actually broken model, is able to take everybody for a ride. Like it's actually silly. If we had all ensured that we have all done free trade with the US, with everybody is free trading with each other, I don't think China would have got this far. They are working on the inconsistencies of the regulations of the world around them. And because of a lot of regulations in the US, they are shipping a lot of the manufacturing, etc., there. So we are shooting ourselves in the foot. Like we've got to stop doing that.
A nice question here. With the new income tax slate or a slab, is it called slate? Something like 90% of India is tax exempt. Is this a sign that income tax can be removed completely?
Yes, income tax should have been removed completely long time ago. At the end of the day, income tax is now mainly used as a system of control over people. It is not really like they don't need that money. That is not why that is not the only thing that is running this. You think like 3% of the people's taxes is running this entire country? No, it's not. That's not how this thing is working.
और पहली बात वो उनकी अभी पत्नी किसी मैं भी इसको कई बार पार्टी हैंडल पे एम्फसाइज कर चुका हूँ कि आप ऑलरेडी ट्रिपल या 4 टाइम्स टैक्स्ड हो जिस कंपनी के लिए आप काम करते हो वो टैक्स्ड है उसके बाद आपकी सैलरी टैक्स्ड है उसके बाद फिर आप जब कुछ चीज खरीदते हो तो वो भी टैक्स्ड है और उसके बाद अगर आप सेव करते हो और उसको इन्वेस्ट करते हो और उसमें जब आपको रिटर्न्स आता है वो भी टैक्स्ड है तो आप तो टैक्सेस दे रहे हो
And income tax is the one that is running this country. No freaking way.
Yes. Will you even keep a representative democracy?
वही क्वेश्चन है मतलब ये मूविंग टारगेट है कि भाई हो सकता है कुछ एरियाज के लिए डायरेक्ट डेमोक्रेसी बेटर हो कुछ के लिए रिप्रेजेंटेटिव डेमोक्रेसी बेटर हो मगर वो अभी तो बात है हम अभी तो चांस ही नहीं है हमारे पास एक्सपेरिमेंट करने का किस रीजन के लिए क्या बेटर है
Right. SK Ghosh, I'll respond to this. He's asking, what is your position on Gaumata? You'll answer the question anyway. I'll just add something before. He's asking, will you look out for Hindu demands of complete ban of killing Gaumata, which our Shankaracharya of Jyotirmat is leading Gaumata Rashtra Mata movement? SK Ghosh, first of all, this statement is absolutely baseless and false, that there is a quote-unquote Hindu demand for complete ban of killing Gaumata. There's no survey that says all Hindus demand a ban of killing of Gaumata, okay? So if there is at all an unanimous consensus between Hindus that there should be even a ban on not killing Gaumata, then we can have this conversation based on this particular claim. Otherwise, it's not even, the time is not ripe for that. But other than that, what's your position on Gaumata, Tushar and Anup?
Well,
क्या देखो इसका रिलेशन उससे है गौ मतलब कोई तो केयर टेकर होगा है ना फिर उसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है उनका ख्याल रखना वो अपनी उसके बाद किसी को और उसके बाद जो अभी जो सोल्यूशन सोसाइटी में वर्क कर रहा है वो है गौशाला वाला तो आपको अगर इतनी ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम है तो आप गौशाला शुरू करो और अगर कोई गौशाला की गाय चोरी करके मारने की कोशिश करे वो नेचुरली प्रॉपर्टी प्रॉब्लम होगी
Yes. And what people forget is that cow slaughter is actually anyway illegal. The boss indicus is illegal. It's not implemented.
Yeah. So basically what we need to put things in perspective is that for many years, this has been a protein source for a lot of people, right? It has been a source of protein for a lot of people or whatever it is. So at the end of the day, let's say we had free trade and we had removed regulations or whatever, the cows that actually US and all uses, they are very different. When you look at them itself, they are not these so-called cows. They look very different that are being bred for beef. Well, maybe they can find another solution or whatever it is for the consumption of meat, but then it's too expensive to do all of these things. And so if a specific species of bovine cannot be used for consumption purpose, then there should be an alternative, right? Because
there are alternatives actually. That's
Yes,
what people who even ask for a ban on Gaumata don't get. That it's only about the boss indicas that the Hindutwadis are talking about.
Yes, exactly. So that, which means that the source of that protein material should be much cheaper, and like let different things happen.
Yeah. While this is true, this is not something that the government should decide, but it's an unfortunate, or let's say an important fact that actually how much of the food you need to eat to get what amount of protein. In that sense, beef is really significant. And I think the next best comes chicken breast, because a lot of vegetarians say, see, this has that much of protein, this has that much of protein, but they forget that in order to get that same amount of protein, you'd need to eat this I mean, one gamla of goddamn food to get.
So basically, the cheapest protein is actually pork, because at the end of the day, pork, it takes a very short time to become an adult and become a large adult at that, right? If you are having a bovine species,
right.
you need like land to graze. But pigs aren't like that. So that's why China and all were very key, when they were using pork. And if you look at these smaller Asian countries, wherever you go, you will get pork. Why? Because their land is smaller. They have smaller land. It's easier to grow all these. I mean, apart from chicken, right? It's easier to grow this particular thing, and you get like really, large kilograms of meat from.
Yeah, I think the only problem is environmental. Of course, there's a cultural problem for some people as well. But the main problem is, I think, still environmental. The amount of water and hay consumption that a cow needs, which is hay is anyway bad for the cow and the cow's health. It needs to get estrogen, steroids, antibiotics, etc. That is pretty rough on the planet. What's your view on halal certification?
I mean, if it is a religious thing, then that's a different issue. They have to take care of it on their own. But at the end of the day, the certificate was.
ये minority principle पे operate करती हैं कि अगर एक minority ने decide कर लिया कि हम जो halal certified चीज नहीं है वो नहीं खाएंगे, तो फिर automatically companies adapt करेंगे उस हिसाब से. अब Jews की population इतनी कम है, मगर अमेरिका में चीजें या यूरोप में चीजें kosher certified हैं. इस वजह से कि भाई फिर Jews consume नहीं करते. अब जैसे अब हमारे फ्रेंड्स में भी मान लो एक फ्रेंड वेजिटेरियन हो, वो सिर्फ वेजिटेरियन खाएंगे, तो दूसरा सोचता चलो हम भी वेजिटेरियन खा लेते हैं. तो ये चीजें थोड़ा वो उसमें आ जाती है, सोशियोलॉजी में आ जाती है. इनका कोई वो नहीं है.
It's ultimately up to the private establishment to convince the customer that they are actually doing halal, right? So that's
आप ऑल्टरनेटिव शुरू कर दो कि वो उसकी बात हो रही, 7वीं सर्टिफिकेशन की बात हो रही थी, किसकी बात हो रही थी? आप ऑल्टरनेटिव शुरू कर दो कि मैं तो सिर्फ अपना जो सर्टिफिकेट है उसको एक्सेप्ट करूंगा.
Competing certifications. Yeah, exactly. That can work, and also boycotting simply can also work.
Same thing as helmets. Like at the end of the day, multiple types of people who will certify these things. So
can I go live in a national park? Should I be allowed to go live in a national park?
Right now, a national. See, I mean, like, see, at the end of the day.
पहली बात तो पब्लिक प्रॉपर्टी को बहुत रिड्यूस कर दिया जाएगा, ठीक है. उसके बाद फिर ये जो वो है, जो एरियाज हैं, वो आपको वहाँ की जो मैनेजिंग वाली कम्युनिटी होगी, उनसे आपको परमिशन लेनी पड़ेगी कि मैं यहाँ रह सकता हूँ या नहीं रह सकता. गवर्नमेंट का लेना देना उससे. कोई फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट का ब्यूरोक्रेट थोड़ा डिसाइड करेगा कि आप कहाँ पे रह सकते हो.
Interesting question here. Will you allow all of us to go live in any sensitive geographic zone? Sensitive in what sense? National security sense, or like vulnerable, environmentally vulnerable place? Like anytime a landslide can happen.
Hey, there are people living in war zones for reasons that we will never understand. Maybe they want to go there, document things. Maybe they want to do it. At the end of the day, your life is kind of your risk at the end of the day. Like sensitive zone, we'll try and desensitize it through some ways, like why is it a sensitive zone is the first question really. Like, let's say you want to go and live in the park border or something like that. Is that what the question is?
इन सारे क्वेश्चंस का ओरिजिन पेरेंटल स्टेट में है कि भाई क्या पेरेंट अलाउ करेगा अपने बच्चों को ये चीज करने के लिए. You are adults, you can take the right decision what is good and bad for you. Who are we to tell what is good and bad for you?
I mean, a sensitive zone even includes like an animal photographer taking in the midst of some lions taking pictures. I mean, even that is a sensitive zone. But that person has made a conscious choice to do it.
How are you even gonna enforce any of this stuff? What's your plan to handle mobs who oppose your ideas?
Well, we are handling it right now. So, I mean,
Can you guys take over BJP and rename it as Bharatiya Libertarian Party?
मैं स्टार्टिंग में भी मैं इस बात का मेंशन किया था कि फंडामेंटल डिफरेंस ये है कि हम स्टेट को एज अ फोर्स फॉर गुड नहीं मानते.
How would your organization pour down your beliefs down the grassroots? How would it trickle down? Who are blinded by socialism, the masses, much like how communists poured down their ideology thanks to cultural Marxism.
थॉमस हॉल से एक क्वेश्चन हुआ था कि you were a Marxist and how did you become how did you get away from being a Marxist as a capitalist जब लगा लो. So he said that one summer internship at the government. तो अभी प्रॉब्लम ये है कि जो इंडियन सोसाइटी की जो स्टोरी है वो सिर्फ मार्क्सिस्ट लेंस से ही एक्सप्लेन करी हुई है. हमारा लेंस तो अभी प्रेजेंट करने का चांस मिला ही नहीं. तो हम मतलब सोशल मीडिया तो है ही, ग्राउंड पे भी काम होगा तो है अभी मतलब कि ऑब्वियसली जैसे स्टैंडर्ड थिंग होती है, आप लोगों को इकट्ठा करते हो, उनको अपने आइडियाज एक्सप्लेन करते हो, तो स्टैंडर्ड इवेंजलिज्म है वो तो.
Wait, I would like to respond to something that Kalpa Vruksh Ji is saying, that even if we ban certification, they will come up with a lobby approved model and do another certification. You will ban halal, they will name it Malal certification. And then he's saying that I think even Hindus should start certification based lobby approved. What's a Bobby approved model? I guess I'm thinking lobby, it's lobby, yeah. But anyway. Do check how this works. Yeah, so competing certifications, that's what I'm talking about, and that's what they were talking about as well. And a follow-up question from Anand Sridhar on the national park issue, that the people who went and lived on Kedarnath and caused those landslides, should that be allowed? Should they be allowed to live there?
People didn't.
I mean, like, who told James Woods to go to California and build a house, and the fire came and destroyed his and millions of other people's homes? At the end of the day, you've got to know your land when you go and live there. Living on earth is a danger, you know.
ऐसा नहीं होगा कि मतलब कि अगर उसकी भी बात करें कि भाई जैसे हर इंडिविजुअल हर चीज के बारे में रिसर्च करता कैसे फिरेगा, तो a lot of the liability and responsibility for your actions will shift to insurance companies in a libertarian system.
Yeah, good point.
How can the Libertarian Party make the masses understand that माई बाप सरकार होता ही नहीं, हम है माई बाप? Forgive my French. We kind of answered this. Yeah, still gone.
एक मिनट, एक क्वेश्चन है कि आइडियोलॉजी को एड्रेस करना, दूसरा क्वेश्चन है पॉलिसी प्रोग्राम डिजाइन करना और इलेक्शन में जो कैंपेनिंग होगी. तो उसमें डिफरेंस, जो सबसे बड़ी बात ये है कि अभी जो भी ये जो सारी पॉलिटिकल कास्ट है, इनका मॉडल ये है कि तुम हमें वोट करो, हम इतना पैसा चुराएंगे और उसमें जो उस लूट से जो पैसा बचेगा उसमें तुम्हें इतना दे देंगे. हमारा कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं है वो जो लूट वाला पैसा उसको चुराने में. तो हमारा तो जो अगर पॉलिसी प्रपोजल की बात करें तो मैं स्टार्टिंग से इसको प्रमोट करता आ रहा हूँ कि डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट ट्रांसफर्स आर वे बेटर देन एनी अदर इनडायरेक्ट पॉलिसी, क्योंकि इन दैट मैकेनिज्म वो कंज्यूमर चॉइस कम्स इनटू प्ले. तो जैसे अभी जो मेरे को पता था कि ऑब्वियसली कि ये फ्रीबीज वाली पॉलिसी इतनी पॉपुलर होगी, फ्री मतलब ये डायरेक्ट ट्रांसफर डायरेक्ट कैश वाली पॉलिसी इतनी पॉपुलर होगी क्योंकि पहली बार जो इंडियन वोटर है उसको डायरेक्टली कुछ मिल रहा है, मतलब कि कुछ टेंजिबल मिल रहा है डायरेक्टली, कुछ वो नहीं है, इसमें कुछ हेर फेर नहीं है. गवर्नमेंट ने सीधा बटन क्लिक किया और आपके अकाउंट में जो भी अमाउंट था वो डेबिट हो गया. ये पहली बार हो रहा है हिस्ट्री में, और ये हिस्ट्री में कभी पहले हो ही नहीं सकता था क्योंकि इस टाइप की टेक्नोलॉजी ही नहीं थी, इंटरनेट नहीं था, इतना फाइनेंशियल पेनिट्रेशन नहीं थी, इतना मोबाइल एक्सेस नहीं था. तो अब आपको उन पॉलिसीज के बारे में सोचने की जरूरत है कि जिससे ऑब्वियसली हम लोगों की अपलिफ्टमेंट चाहते हैं. ऐसा नहीं कि हम चाहते हैं कि हर कोई अपना बस अपना हर कोई खुद का ख्याल रख ले. ऑब्वियसली लोगों की कैपेसिटी में डिफरेंस है और इतनी सारी जो डिस्टॉर्शन क्रिएट करी हुई है 75 इयर्स में, उनको करेक्ट करना पड़ेगा. मिलाई नहीं आती, ये नहीं कि भाई आते ही सेंट्रल बैंक उड़ा दिया और अपना वो सारा गोल्ड अपना को आते ही डॉलर अडॉप्ट कर लिया, सेंट्रल बैंक उड़ा दिया, सारे टैक्सेस उड़ा दिए, चीजों को फेजेस में करना पड़ता है, पुरानी डिस्टॉर्शंस को करेक्ट करना पड़ता है, उसके बाद फिर चीजें शुरू होनी होती है, मतलब मगर डायरेक्शन हमारी वही है। और जैसे रोनाल्ड रेगन का कोट था कि सक्सेस ऑफ वेलफेयर इज मेजर्ड बाय हाउ मेनी पीपल गेट आउट ऑफ इट, नॉट हाउ मेनी पीपल जॉइन इट। तो वही वाली बात है, हमारी भी अप्रोच यही है कि ऐसा नहीं होगा कि हम आएंगे और सब कुछ छीन लेंगे और अपना बस तुम खुद का खुद ही देख लो, वो नहीं होने वाला। डेफिनेटली विल गेट रिड ऑफ रेगुलेशन, डेफिनेटली विल गेट रिड ऑफ टैक्सेस, मगर इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि हम आते ही सोसाइटी पूरी खत्म कर देंगे, हिला देंगे, सब कुछ चेंज कर देंगे। फेजेस में हम डिस्टॉर्शन को करेक्ट करेंगे ताकि इंडिविजुअल अपना जो पोटेंशियल है वो अचीव कर सके।
See, even Argentina is doing it in phases only, right? Like right
Yeah.
now, only in 2025, only he's looking at, doing these labor reforms. He's doing so. That's the only way it can be done.
Yeah.
ऐसे
I'll
नहीं
just text. Yeah, go on.
अब आते ही हम ये ऐसे नहीं होगा, हम आते ही हमने आए सारे डिसेंट्रलाइज कर दिए, आते ही टैक्सेस जीरो कर दिए और सारा कुछ अपना हाँ बस छुट्टी करके चल दिया अपना, ऐसे नहीं होता। ऑब्वियसली अब इतनी समझता हूँ मैं भी होगी कि ये चीजें कैसे काम करती हैं।
Yeah. Nandan S is asking, will you fire NPA government employees, non-performing asset government employees?
परमानेंट ब्यूरोक्रेसी प्रॉब्लम है उसका, मगर जब वो मतलब ब्यूरोक्रेट्स विल बी मोस्टली स्ट्रिप्ड ऑफ देयर पावर और वो सिर्फ एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव ड्यूटीज में इन्वॉल्व होंगे, तो वो थोड़ा चलता रहेगा, कर सकते हैं।
For example, the income tax department I think has about 55,000 employees or something like that.
वो तो अफवाह है, वो तो पहले दिन ही आउट है, उसका तो कोई वो नहीं।
Yeah, they could probably be shifted into listening to people's problems rather than creating them. They could be eyes and ears who will talk about, okay, these things have to happen, let's get the word out there and see if any private companies are there who can solve these problems, or if you want to start a startup to solve these problems. So we'll be more like problem solvers. The government will be more like enablement of problem solving rather than administration and regulation of issues. So that's how we will probably behave as a government.
अगर मैं सबसे सिंपल तरीके से बताऊं, ऑब्जेक्टिव्स बेशक दोनों ऑब्जेक्ट इस तरीके से सिंपल तरीके से बताऊं तो ऑब्जेक्टिव्स सबके सेम ही है कि भाई लोग अगर चलो कुछ तो ईविल लोग हैं उनको छोड़ो, कुछ पार्टी तो ईविल है उनको छोड़ो, मगर अगर जो चाहता है कि मैं लोगों को भला करना चाहता हूँ और उसका ऑब्जेक्टिव ये है कि भाई आई वांट द वेलफेयर ऑफ द पीपल, मतलब लोग बढ़िया करें, तो हम भी यही बताएंगे कि हम भी लोगों को भला चाहते हैं। मगर जब क्वेश्चन आता है कि कैसे में हमारा आंसर डिफरेंट है कि हाउ वी विल डू इट, दैट्स द डिफरेंस बिटवीन देम एंड अस। वो स्टेट वो गवर्नमेंट को यूज करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं वेलफेयर करने के लिए, जो कि सिंपली इम्पॉसिबल है और 75 इयर्स एविडेंस है कि वो नहीं कर पाए। हम कह रहे हैं कि गवर्नमेंट से सोल्यूशन है ही नहीं, वील इंश्योर के गवर्नमेंट से पावर आपके हाथ में है और आप एक्चुअली खुद प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर सको।
Yeah, simple deregulations will strip a lot of these things of their power.
ऐसा नहीं है कि हमने
why should you pay anybody? Why should you pay anybody if you're not regulated?
ऐसा नहीं है कि हम ग्रोथ डिलीवर नहीं करेंगे या फिर अपना हम वो नहीं चाहेंगे कि भाई अपना लोगों की एजुकेशन ना हो या ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, मगर हम मैकेनिज्म अलग यूज कर रहे हैं उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करने का।
Yeah. In that context, this question is, I think, interesting. Slevin is saying 3% of people may be paying income tax, but it is still 20 to 25% of total government revenue, and you guys want to remove it. Indirect tax 15 lakh crore, direct 12 lakh crore, of which income tax 6.6 lakh crore. Yes, I know you might like taxes, but what are they for? A lot of it is for freebies, and libertarians won't do freebies. So then why the same amount of taxes need to be collected? That's the point.
First of all, removing these taxes will bring out a lot of the money out of these people's pockets into the economy. Right now, it is all going to places like Mauritius and this and all that. You remove this control over people's wallets, everybody is going to start investing here. So you are going to see money like you have never seen before in this country. First of all, that is the thing. That is what personal financial freedom can do. Think of yourself itself, in your family alone. How many people sit and discuss taxes? When it's time for your dad or you or whoever it is in your family to do taxes, you will be talking to your CA. How can I reduce taxes? Where can I invest this money so I don't get to pay tax? All this will be out of the window. You will take that money and you will start investing. Imagine how many crores and millions are there in this so-called black money market. Like then the politicians who are actually getting these bribery, they'll get exposed, because how are you now getting this money? Like really, where are you getting this money from? Businessmen, what will they do? Serious businessmen are never going to keep the money in the bank. because they know that is the worst way to make your money. You know, they will take the money, invest it back into the country. Why? There are no
Yes.
regulations anymore. You can invest, no income. Nobody is looking at your bank account and saying you made 1 million last year and I want 35, 40 or 50% of that money. Imagine 1 crore you make and somebody wants 50 lakh of that money. Like you will do everything in your power to hide that money. You know, like by removing that alone will free up your own personal mind space, that you will not have anybody, any monkey on your back.
Yeah. Do you support the Uttarakhandi Uniform Civil Code, especially the live-in laws? If you support it, and UCC in general, how do you reconcile libertarianism and erasing personal laws?
UCC is one of the most stupid laws. Like what if you break up with your girlfriend next week? What are they going to do now? They're going to get another affidavit saying that, oh, I broke, and then they'll get back together 3 hours later. And what you want to do? A ridiculous law.
Multicultural country like India, में uniform civil code का कोई sense नहीं बनता.
No chance. What uniform civil code? Nobody even wears the same clothes. Nobody even buys the same clothes from the same vendor. What uniform is there here?
Okay, so you are opposed to uniform civil code in general, or just because of the live-in laws?
We are supporting your personal choices. What do you want to do? You do that.
आपके एरिया में आपको खुद नेगोशिएट करना पड़ेगा कि आपको किस टाइप का सिविल लॉ चाहिए, मगर कोई सेंट्रल बॉडी डिसाइड नहीं करने वाली कि भाई पूरी कंट्री में ये लॉ अप्लाई होता है.
What about the current situation then? Even in the current situation, we don't have uniform civil code. What do you think of this situation then? That there is a Hindu law, there is a Special Marriages Act, there's a pro-Sharia Muslim personal law. In Christianity in India, there's no concept of divorce basically. You can't really divorce your husband.
तो वही हिंदू लॉ भी तो फिर वही हो गया ना. हिंदू लॉ भी तो सेंट्रल बॉडी ने डिसाइड किया, क्योंकि कोई यूनिफॉर्म बॉडी तो है नहीं हिंदुइज्म की जो डिसाइड करेगी कि हाँ हिंदुओं पे ये लॉ अप्लाई होना चाहिए, है ना. तो हिंदुइज्म तो एसेंशियली डिसेंट्रलाइज्ड वो है, कल्चर है. तो हिंदुइज्म क्योंकि पॉलीएंड्री और पॉलीगमी तो वहां पे डिफरेंट स्टेट्स में तो हो रही है, और वो हिंदू ही है फिर भी.
So are you saying so locality based marriage laws and personal cultural laws?
Yeah, let them
हिस्टोरिकली ऐसे ही होता था, क्योंकि
that तो definitely
मैरिज डायनामिक्स आपके एरिया के हिसाब से डिसाइड होते हैं. हिमाचल में अब अगर उन फीमेल की शॉर्टेजेस है तो फिर वहां पे मल्टीपल हस्बैंड होते हैं अपना एक वाइफ के. अभी भी हैं ऐसे मैरिजेस स्टिल एग्जिस्ट कि एक वाइफ है और मल्टीपल हस्बैंड्स हैं. क्यों? क्योंकि थोड़ा वो सेक्स रेशियो की थोड़ी प्रॉब्लम है. तो अब यूनिफॉर्म उसके हिसाब से तो हिंदू मैरिज के हिसाब से वो तो फिर इलीगल है.
Municipality level government is the most corrupt in India. How would LPI tackle this?
हम टैकल नहीं करेंगे. हम आपको चांस देंगे कि अगर आपको करप्ट म्युनिसिपैलिटी लग रही है तो उसको अफवाह करो, और जो सही लीडर है वो इलेक्ट हो.
Casual must be thinking मैं mayor ही बन जाता. This though we took. How many times has he asked this question? Holy shit. Gravity is pointing out that the criminals already have guns. Anand is saying no one should have guns. Go ham with swords and knives.
So whatever the plan, it should be implemented like equally as a platform.
Gravity is asking, aren't helmets supposed to break after a certain amount of stress? Otherwise it might cause internal brain hemorrhage. Yeah, certain amount of stress, not at the drop of a hat, not if you throw it from here to the floor or you drop your helmet down a flight of stairs. That's how ISI helmets break. But DOT certified helmets, the helmets I used to wear, they cost about 4K to 5K. I knew a guy who hit a Chota Hathi, okay, the small mini doors, the smaller versions of matadors in Kolkata, in Bengal. He hit a matador, that Chota Hathi, at around I think 80-90 kilometers per hour on his CBR 250, and he was wearing a helmet worth 45,000 rupees. It was recently gifted to him by his parents because he was a pilot and he used to ride bikes on his free time, and nothing happened to him. He just broke his 2 wrists, and and he just needed surgery on his wrist. His bike was fucked. His bike was fucked, but his life got saved because he was wearing an illegal DOT certified helmet that cost 45,000 rupees. What's your view on intellectual property?
अभी
Like,
करंट सिस्टम को रिफॉर्म की जरूरत है. वैसे आईपी लॉज की सेंस नहीं बनती. अभी हमारी कल भी उसके कल कोटेशन आ रही थी कि इंडिया में एकदम से पैटेंट रजिस्ट्रेशन बढ़ गई है. तो पॉइंट ये था कि अभी तो सिस्टम ये है कि आप आईपी लॉज को रिफॉर्म भी नहीं कर रहे और पैटेंट्स ग्रांट भी नहीं कर रहे. पैटेंट ग्रांट्स करना ज्यादा एक बेटर इंप्रूवमेंट है उसके मुकाबले कि आप किसी को भी पैटेंट नहीं दे रहे. मगर उससे भी बेटर ये है कि पैटेंट की जरूरत ही नहीं है, आप ऐसे ही ऑपरेट कर सकते हो. तो रिफॉर्म उस डायरेक्शन में होना चाहिए कि हाँ, क्रेडिट मिले आपको अगर आप कोई चीज यूज कर रहे हो, मगर उसको रोकना नहीं चाहिए दूसरों को उसको यूज करने से. इस हिसाब से
yeah.
तो फिर हम तो उसको ही पे, आर्यभट्ट को ही पे करते रह जाते हैं अगर उस टाइम पे आईपी लॉज होते तो.
Elon Musk is proof that you don't need patents really at the
हाँ,
end of the day. You just need to make good products. That's about
और
it.
टेस्ला
And the
टेस्ला का
brand
पैटेंट
name,
ओपन सोर्स है.
people think it is about that little technology that makes everything great. But no, it is that entire gamut of the business. Your employees, the way you
हम्म.
treat them, the way you treat your customers, all these things. That's why people say even in an investor pitch, right? Don't have to be worried about the investor stealing your idea. Where is the patent there before you go approach certain investors with an idea, right? To find something new, you take that risk and you show how things can be implemented in a better way and all of that. So at the end of the day, IPs are just a waste of time. I feel like, at the end of the day, it is about how you
और
run your business. Really,
इट इनहिबिट्स ग्रोथ. बड़ी
it
कंपनीज
limits
स्मॉल
growth.
प्लेयर्स
Yeah,
को बुली करती हैं आईपी लॉज का यूज करके
yeah.
कि वो कुछ वेग सा आइडिया पैटेंट करा लेंगे और कहेंगे तुम यू आर इन वायलेशन ऑफ दिस, यू कांट स्टार्ट योर कंपनी. तो
Again, it's like
आईपी
a
लॉज.
regulation.
हाँ.
Wait, I'll just respond to something Gondank is mentioning here. He's saying, please, no one lecture people like me when you guys refuse to help Hindu organizations like VHP and us by money or by coming with us to protect lone Hindus against other me's. These libbies are idiots. See, there's a huge similarity between Goddank XP and Kushal Mehra, whom Goddank XP hates with all his guts. That they have a libertarian blind spot. The moment they hear the word libertarian, all of a sudden their brain stops working. Who is stopping you from helping Hindu organizations like VHP? Who? Libertarianism allows you to do anything you want, but you want your nanny fucking state to do your bidding. And we won't allow that, because when you give them the power to become a nanny for someone, they might end up being a nanny for someone you hate as well. Therefore,
and they'll change their mind also after a while.
Yes. How do you have a guarantee that they will go on listening to your fucking goddamn nanny ideas?
As long as you're compliant to all their requests, they will be with you. The day you're not,
Yes.
you're got done for.
My medium-sized village used to have a hospital, a library, and a metalworking industry for iron and brass, but they are gone now. Many people lack proper bathrooms. How will life change if Libertarian Party takes over?
आप हमारे सिस्टम में क्या होगा कि आपके पास वो होगा, मैकेनिज्म होगा कि आप अपने लोगों के साथ डिस्कस कर सकते हो कि व्हाट कैन वी डू अबाउट ऑल दिस सिचुएशन. आपको किसी एमएलए के दरवाजे नहीं खटकाने पड़ेंगे या फिर आपको किसी एमपी के दरवाजे नहीं खटकाने पड़ेंगे कि सम हेल्प अस. आपको अगर लगता है कि कोई बिजनेस पोटेंशियल है आपके, क्योंकि हर एरिया की कुछ ना कुछ एडवांटेजेस और डिसएडवांटेजेस होती हैं. आप एनालिसिस करो या दूसरों से कंसल्ट करोगे हमारे पास क्या एडवांटेजेस हैं, उसके बेसिस पे फिर अपना जो भी आपको बिजनेस या जो भी इंडस्ट्री सेटअप करनी है करो, और फिर अपना कम्पीट करो, ट्रेड करो दूसरों के साथ, दूसरों को बोलो हमारे पे इन्वेस्ट करो, हमारे साथ ट्रेड करो. यही होगा और क्या होगा. मगर अभी तो आपके पास कोई मैकेनिज्म है ही नहीं. अभी आप कहते हो मेरे कोई प्रॉब्लम है, आप कहाँ पे जाओगे? कहीं पे नहीं जा सकते. एमपी आपको टाइम देगा नहीं, एमएलए आपको टाइम देगा नहीं. मगर आप विलेज लेवल पे हो, आप तो सारे एक दूसरे को जानते हो, आपकी फैमिली एक दूसरे को जानती है. आपका चांस है बैठ के मिलके कि भाई हाँ हमें कुछ करने की जरूरत है, क्योंकि आप इतने कंसर्न हो इस प्रॉब्लम के लिए. करो डिस्कस, करो ब्रेनस्टॉर्म, मांगो सजेशंस, करो सॉल्व प्रॉब्लम. मगर अभी तो आपके पास कुछ अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं है. तो लिबर्टेरियन सिस्टम में आपके पास अपनी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करने का चांस खुद से है.
Yes.
आपको किसी और पे डिपेंडेंट होने की जरूरत नहीं है.
Yes. We'll take Abhay's question, but let me respond to Goddank once again. He's saying ground reality check kar, call it Kolkata, read what I have wrote above, Chutiya mat bano. I have said it without extraordinary government support, Hindus will go extinct in Punjab. इतना कैसे पूसिया चूती मदरचोद कम्युनिटी है भाई हमारा? मेजॉरिटी है इतना बड़ा और उसको ही चाहिए नैनी स्टेट. और ये ग्राउंड रियलिटी इतना मत चोदो मेरे सामने, ठीक है? ग्राउंड रियलिटी बहुत सारे लोगों को पता है, और तुम एआई में बैठ के जितना ग्राउंड रियलिटी करते हो उनसे बहुत बड़े बड़े लोग ग्राउंड रियलिटी करते हैं, फिर भी बहुत लौड़ा उखा रहा है, ठीक है? ग्राउंड रियलिटी तुमको अकेला पता नहीं है. विल यू अलाउ फॉरेन कंपनीज टू एंटर रेलवेज?
We have to allow anybody who can solve a problem to solve the problem. I mean, if we can't solve it, so at the end of the day, it is about solving the problem. Right now, there is a transportation. Have you seen our railway stations right now? Like, so who's solving the problem is the thing. So either we open up regulations to ensure that the Indians itself can solve our problems, but for problems we can't solve, we'll have to take out the help. But solving the problem is the priority number one.
अगर perhaps foreign companies, पहली बात तो domestic companies के पास advantage है, क्योंकि हम capital markets free कर देंगे,
right?
और वो कल्चर को बेटर अंडरस्टैंड करती हैं और ज्यादा बेटर ऑपरेट कर सकती हैं। मगर कोई फॉरेन प्लेयर आना चाहते तो क्या प्रॉब्लम है? हमारी इंटरनेशनल एयरलाइंस ऑपरेट कर रही है इंडिया में, ऐसे तो कोई मेजर प्रॉब्लम नहीं है कि इंडियन एयरलाइंस
the way foreign companies also work, they will hook up or with a local company and only run these sort of things, because they're like he said, like the cultural differences only the Indian companies will understand. Even sales happens that way, you know.
ये एक फंडामेंटल लैक ऑफ ना सेल्फ बिलीफ को डेमोन्स्ट्रेट करता है कि भाई ओहो कॉम्पिटिटर आ जाएगा। तो अब सिंपल एग्जांपल दो, अब इंडिया क्रिकेट में डोमिनेट कर रहा है या नहीं कर रहा है, कैसे कर रहा है? आईपीएल का नतीजा है जो क्रिकेट की डोमिनेशन है। ये आईपीएल ने एक्सेस अलाउ किया ना कि भाई यहाँ ज्यादा प्लेयर कम्पीट कर सके और ज्यादा बेटर टैलेंट ऊपर निकल के आए। पहले ये कंप्लीट होती है हमारे पास फास्ट बॉलर्स नहीं है, अब हमारे पास वन ऑफ द बेस्ट फास्ट बॉलर्स है, हमारे पास बेस्ट बैट्समैन है। कैसे हैं? क्योंकि वो नीचे टैलेंट तैयार होता है और उसके बाद फिर वो धीरे धीरे ऊपर सिस्टम बना दिया ना कि भाई हाँ आप ऊपर आगे अचीव कर सकते हो। अभी हमारा सिस्टम ही नहीं है, आप क्यों डाउट कर रहे हो कि इंडिया कम्पीट नहीं कर सकता?
Yeah, even in electric market, electric car market, tech, Mahindra is like, hey, bring it on, you know, like ultimately, yes, they do have some breaks probably in the imports and all of that, but then what we are saying is offer those same incentives to everybody, to every business. So every Indian business can now just focus on innovation and compete with global markets. Right now, some businesses are being given some major subsidy and all, and they are showing why not give it to everybody?
ये नहीं
so
भैया,
that's what we are trying to say. Like, we believe in you to achieve it. Why should we believe in only one industry just because some other country made it? China made it a success, so India is forced to react to that. So we are going to our best 3 car manufacturers and saying, hey, we will do all this for you so you can now compete. No, we should be front leaders. We should have done our R&D before China. We should have come up with newer ideas before the USA. How do we do that? That is where the Libertarian Party's enablement of people, removing of regulations, and the free markets come into play.
और वही उसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि हमारा ये नहीं है, प्रॉब्लम ये है कि आप ये नहीं, आप जो फॉरेन कंपनीज वाली बात हो रही है उसमें आप ये अज्यूम करो कि सेम सिस्टम होगा। सेम सिस्टम नहीं होगा। यहाँ पे कंपनीज ज्यादा फ्रीयर होंगी, यहाँ पे कंपनीज लोअर टैक्सेस पे कर रही होंगी। उनका तो वहाँ पे सोशलिज्म चल रहा है दूसरी कंट्रीज में।
Yes, a lot of libertarian prerequisites are being ignored with a lot of questions. In that context, I'll respond to Goddank once again. He's saying, Muta ke CSK, College Street, Kolkata is cherry picking my comments, having no clue about Punjab's ground reality. Fools these libertarians. The entire system feed on private to public is anti-Hindu. How will 30% Hindu survive? See, Goddank, ground reality. How did Punjab become that way? Because of conversion budget of Christians, because of lack of conversion prevention budgets of Hindus. How did that happen? Because of lack of temple freedom. What's the libertarian platform on temple freedoms? That temples should have freedom. Then where the fuck does this problem need even state intervention? Next, we'll take this question. How will you achieve free trade agreement with which country? How will you leverage our resources?
Okay, go to any country and say we won't tax your biggest seller and they won't tax our biggest seller. Simple as that.
How do you think railway traffic will be managed? Will government have a role to play in it if railway is privatized?
Oh my God, there will not be any accident. I'll tell you that much.
Government है क्या?
By a responsible private company.
अब government को क्यों घुसाते रहते हो? बीच में government है क्या? Basically, bunch of people ही है जिनकी बस एक monopoly है.
Think of the growth of a private company. By the time they put out one train, the next train they will want to make it even better. We have been making the same type of train for years. Okay, so finally for the last few years, we have been making these so-called bullet trains. But when you look at a private company's trajectory, you think that they are making the same phone every year? No, they have moved into AI. They have moved into this. This is why the government should never compete with or even attempt to do business sort of things. You know, the business should be left up to businessmen of India, who are totally capable of understanding customer feedback. Also, they are connected with various vendors from across the world. There are vendors coming to them and pitching ideas. Hey, I will do this. But who's going to the government and doing all of this? Like which, like they will just call out for a tender based on existing requirements that they already have. But no, private companies are getting futuristic ideas way ahead in advance. So the next train that comes out from a private company will be 100 times better than the other one, because what a business is looking for is quicker efficiency, more people probably traveling, higher profits, whatever it is, and lower cost for consumer. This is the trajectory of any business. So they will innovate in no time, faster than any government business ever can.
How do you stop all scams and leaks related to elections and competitive exams respectively? So 2 questions here.
इलेक्शंस तो रिलेटिवली ठीक ही है यहाँ पे, इंडिया में उतना स्कैम तो है नहीं. कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम्स की जहां तक बात है वो तो चलता रहता है, कभी ठीक हो जाता है कभी ठीक नहीं होता, तो हम ऐसा कुछ कर नहीं सकते. मगर हम ये जरूर इंश्योर कर सकते हैं कि प्रॉपर लॉ एंड ऑर्डर और स्पीडी जस्टिस हो, वो इंश्योर कर सकते हैं. हम ये इंश्योर नहीं कर सकते कि कभी कोई फ्रॉड नहीं होगा, क्योंकि परफेक्ट सिस्टम बनाना इम्पॉसिबल है. मगर आप इंश्योर कर सकते हो कि करेक्शंस फास्ट करी जा सकें.
And these competitive exams also are very restricted, because there are like 4 industries that you can really be competing in a competing exam. What, some doctor thing, one engineering thing, that's it. But what we are trying to do is we are trying to expand everybody's mind so that the industries are competitive, but there are plenty of other industries that are competitive. So you miss one boat, you can go into another one. So you don't have to put yourself through this torture of these scams. And the regulations on these will come down, because you can now look at multiple industries. Right now, what competitive exam is there?
अभी सारी पावर उनके पास है कि हमारे पास लिमिटेड सीट्स हैं, तुम सारे compete करो. हमने कहा कि भाई हम let's take care of the supply को इतना expand कर दे कि demand में इतनी ज़्यादा टेंशन लेने की जरूरत ही नहीं है.
This is like artificial competition that is created. It is nothing.
Right. We have a 2-part question from Anand Sridhar. He's asking, who is going to enforce the free market for you among people who are used to socialistic stealing of fellow human beings' property? Like, seriously, thoda deep socho. Any system you build has to start with law and order first. You build on that Maslow's hierarchy of needs at its most basic.
मैं तो वही कह रहा हूँ, law and order उसमें कब object किया मैंने?
Right.
Yeah, we didn't object.
What are your views on one nation, one election?
था ये सिस्टम, आगे भी आ जाएगा तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, मगर मेरे ख्याल से स्टेट और उसका ऑल्टरनेटिव ज्यादा बेटर है. मतलब एक साइकिल में सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट और एक साइकिल में स्टेट की, जैसे यूएसए में. मगर मैं वो भी आर्बिट्रेरी नंबर है कि 5 ईयर का नंबर आया कैसे है.
5 years is a long time, man.
This is an interesting question here. In a libertarian society, who is the default owner of a vacant piece of land that is not owned by anyone? Right now, it's a state. Will it change to a system where you can just claim unclaimed property?
आपको लैंड सिर्फ यही नहीं होती, लैंड की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी भी लेनी पड़ती है, उसका ख्याल रखना पड़ता है. ठीक है.
An interesting question here. What about the anti-nationals in universities like JU? Students having thoughts. JU as well as JNU. Wait, the students part is not that important, because unless it's a call for violence, there's no stop on free speech. We have discussed that already. What about teachers teaching, also discussing anti-national stuff? And anti-national might be too vague. Let's say specifically stuff that are directly opposed to India's sovereignty, like saying things like if the people of Kashmir want Kashmir to be a different country, it should be given away, etc. Those kinds of things. What about professors?
At the end of the day, I don't think we should restrict anybody's thought. If that's what they are talking about, let them talk about it. See, at the end of the day, you're trying to figure out a solution to a problem, right? That is why they are talking about it. At the end of the day, the people who are sitting there also are listening to some kind of a thing. But this mentality of, trying to, say, just because somebody said it, everybody believed it, and, they are going to form I don't believe that is like really even possible. Because people are saying a ton of things every day. So, I mean, like, it's as if it's not like you cannot find all of these things, so-called anti-national things on YouTube. If you are the kind of person who's looking for a solution of that sort, you will find it everywhere. Like what is it about a university alone that can change everything about everything? At the end
No,
of the day,
but Anup,
yeah.
calling for basically dismantling the whatever are the borders of the country, that I think is borderline call for violence even, because the only way to exclude one piece of land from the country one fine morning is only by violence.
Yeah,
Therefore,
but where is the they are just discussing, right? So that's what I'm talking about. So if somebody is discussing it, it is
no,
part
not
of
just
your free
discussing,
speech, right?
advocating.
Yeah, advocating at the end of the day, yes, okay. So let's say they formed an army and then they are going to try and take it over. That's a different thing, right? I mean, like, okay, so you have
Right,
formed
right.
some kind of a
Yeah, that's not
system
what they're doing.
that,
Yeah.
yes. So that is when the referees will step in, because at the end of the day, when you're doing a football match and people are strategizing on the line,
Right.
like, okay,
Right.
at the end of the day, you talk it out because you seem to think that there is a problem, right? That you are not happy with. Okay, so what the Libertarian Party usually does is we have a system where you can communicate with us directly. It was the same thing that even happened in Taiwan, where the local taxi guys did not want Uber to come in or whatever it is. So the government just formed a system, communicate with us, tell us what these problems are, and they formed a system where so this is the kind of way with which we will approach this problem. Okay, so
Yes.
many people are having a problem. Let's build a system to try to communicate. And even in our existing tech frameworks that we are doing, we are building systems of such things where you can discuss, where we can make decisions, where you can rate certain things on certain things, so that we understand where your problems lies, where we need solutions from, and things like that. So we have got like something called a PTR register. We've got different kinds of things in the pipeline that we are also working on, which is more like to do with listening to this community rather than saying don't talk about it. That's what we don't want to do.
And to be fair, even this question ignores the prerequisites of a libertarian situation, because
Yes.
all these examples, JNU, JU, they are hugely public funded for a lot of subjects which would not be funded by libertarian governments in the first place, like social sciences, political science, sociology.
Either
They would
you
not be
find
funded in the first
your
place.
own funding to talk about stuff like that.
Yes.
Don't come and get state funding.
Yeah, a lot of problems that we are seeking. Yeah, a lot of problems that we are seeking answers to, solutions from the libertarians, they won't even exist in a libertarian situation.
Yes.
This concept of quote unquote small government works best on developed cities, societies like USA. India is far from such a possibility.
People who think USA is developed
USA started as small government. USA started as small government and then became big. And when it was small government, तब वो rapidly grow कर रही थी. और जब large government हो गई तो वो उसका slow down आ गया. So inverted thinking है यहाँ पे.
Yeah. I mean, like at the end of the day, this whole call, I have a huge issue with the so-called developed and undeveloped and this that. It is just different types of governance. That's all. They have a government that's listening to some of their problems at least, and they have certain levels of free speech and they have certain levels of whatever it is. That's all. It's just levels of things. But there is nothing really called developed, or the countries that aren't so-called achieving anything, they probably don't have that level of understanding on how to treat their people to everything else. So it's nothing to do with development. It's just to do with the way you want things to be. So
right. You said this is an interesting sort of a follow-up question to Tushar here. Tushar was pointing out the urbanization of India that's on route right around the corner. So A.K. Brahmo is saying that even if 40% of India gets urban, 50% of them live in shanties who have rural mentality. So a very small window then.
Yeah, absolutely not. तो उनको क्या better life नहीं चाहिए खुद के लिए? उनको क्या better economic opportunities नहीं है चाहिए खुद के लिए? उनको corruption कम नहीं चाहिए?
See, they are the rural places. I come from a very rural place. The place where I grew up just had one main road. That's where I grew up, right? So my point is, like, I know the feeling of the people there. They always are suppressed by the so-called governance.
So you are saying the ground reality.
I know the ground reality. We had one main road and we had to fight to get a tar road into our streets, man. So, at the end of the day, and everybody in that town, whoever was slightly intellectual, who was growing up, just wanted to get out of that town. That is how it was. And most of the people who are in the cities have come from the towns only, and they're making it big. But at the end of the day, what we are trying to do is alleviate the pressure of them, reduce the fear amongst them. And hopefully they will respond to that with in a more positive way. Right now, they're all, having this little small town mentality, creating fears that don't exist. Like they're all afraid of their local politician to everybody. We are going to remove all of that so that they can finally show their skills and grow.
So Vikhyat is asking again a question that ignores libertarianism prerequisites. He's saying, how can you fit Indian diversity into a small constitution? Nuances require length. We are not No. Nuances don't require length. Nuances require not codification in the first place.
Simplicity.
Yes. Rishabh is saying, in school, I asked my history teacher, doesn't every clause in the constitution mean another limitation on our freedoms? She asked me to sit down and didn't address it.
School the communist factory hai.
Libertarianism relies on a top-notch functioning of law and order. Yes, contract enforcement is Bible. So fake accusations are a part of free speech, like fake grape cases.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like you have at the end of the day, it's your word against somebody else's, because you also have a chance to say, no, I did not, right? But at least you won't have the bureaucracy sitting over your head, making it such a big deal, putting you on national TV, parading you around in terms of a political nature, just like what happened to this Ranveer guy and all that. That won't happen to you here. You can fight this battle of the fake case based on information and facts of this fake case.
Let's see. I don't think there are too many questions anymore. We are already. I think this is our longest live stream tonight.
Yeah, close to 3 hours.
3 hours.
Yeah. Is AI something that libertarians will support or counter, since AI works on a set of laws and the set of laws may not align with the masses?
We are tech forever, man. We are tech forever. We love tech.
AI का किसी मोनोपोली कैसे है? पहले चैट जीपीटी आया, फिर गूगल अपना लेके आया, उसके बाद फिर एक्स अपना ले आया, परप्लेक्सिटी चल रहा है, हर लोग.
Yeah, man. Every other weekend, I am deciding on that. Okay, now this is my favorite AI, and I will never move on from it. And then 5 days later, it's a different company. I never thought I would move on from ChatGPT. Then I thought I would never move on from Perplexity. Now I'm using Grok all day.
Beauty of a free market, man. Like, you know, you will have choice. So that's why we are also really wanting it for India, because, you know, whenever I speak to any of my friends also, I want to see what they can create, you know.
Yes, and hilariously, this is what I was being asked even yesterday. Someone asked that Indian right-wingers were really happy that Grok kicked many commie asses yesterday. And they asked me that, what do you think of this, that Grok kicked many commie asses, with many pointing out many facts and stuff. I said that, wait, the commies in my friend list were happy with Grok yesterday only because of pointing out about the let's say some miscommunication that has come from Narendra Modi and Smriti Irani's side about their educational qualifications. So Grok did that also. Everyone was happy yesterday, the right wingers and the commies, about Grok. Mystery of Sociologist is saying libertarianism is an ideal. It is a direction that will help make us actual Vishwaguru. What will the LPI government do apart from maintaining law and order and enforcing contracts, especially in the case of India? Can global libertarianism work here, or it has to be localized and Indianized? What is global libertarianism really? But wait, you answer first.
I mean, at the end of the day, the law of money and economics is like literally the same everywhere. It's like gravity.
Yes.
So we work on those principles really, and freedom for anybody is freedom. So
हमारी डायरेक्शन यही है. हमारी बेसिकली 3 जॉब है. लॉ एंड ऑर्डर ये तो है, और ऐसे और एक जॉब और है, डिस्टॉर्शंस, जो हिस्टोरिकल डिस्टॉर्शंस है उनको करेक्ट करना. उसको करेक्ट करने में थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा, हो सकता है 15-20 इयर्स लग जाए. तो हिस्टोरिकल डिस्टॉर्शन करेक्ट करने हमारी बेसिकली 3 ही जॉब है: लॉ ऑर्डर, करेक्शन ऑफ हिस्टोरिकल.
Interesting question here. What about city planning? In free markets, you can build anything anywhere, and that's why Indian cities are so bad. How will a free market solve this problem?
ऐसा नहीं है. और दूसरी बात, कोई ऐसी सोसाइटीज में रहना प्रेफर भी नहीं करता. पीपल प्रेफर टू everybody aspires to live in a DLF or something. So ऐसी बात नहीं है. हीरानंदानी तो वही आप वीडियो देखोगे तो आपको पता चलेगा कि whether if you want to live there or not.
See, at the end of the day, people are only cutting corners because they are heavily regulated. You have to remove these regulations, no? So at the end of the day, they will want to build the most beautiful place so that people can come in this one. Here, that's why they build these strange buildings. There was, issues even in Karnataka where they were building these buildings that were falling down and all of that. That's basically due to heavy regulations. So having, they're creating an environment where these people can actually plan the city well and make it is much better.
Boishalidhi is asking, are you funded by the WE? Yes.
We are not funded at all.
We are funded by generosity of people who believe in the ideal, not globalist World Economic Forum.
I mean, even this event currently, right, that we are doing in Gurgaon on March 29th, the Libertarian Summit. None of us really knew where the money is, but then we actually found just the people who are not coming to the event have actually purchased a ticket for the event,
I see.
and they are not going to be at the event.
Yeah. At this point, libertarianism is like an underground metal fest, so people are supporting the cause,
exactly.
right?
Yeah. So at the end of the day, the people who are coming to the event aren't paying for the tickets. So.
अभी मैंने सबके लिए announcement डालनी है. I'll be thanking everyone and tagging के thank you for supporting and basically and putting up the showing belief in the cause. We will डालनी है वो post.
Would the libertarians allow arbiters, people who sit down with two parties and give a solution and speed track the case?
Yes.
We want.
They have been saying this from the first live stream.
Yeah. Private arbitration is key, and competition among private arbiters is also key.
Anand is saying that none of these are AI. I guess he's talking about the topic we were discussing.
I also agree to a
ChatGPT
certain extent to this statement that like Grok and all, they aren't actually AI.
Yeah, because general intelligence, artificial general intelligence की बात कर रहे हैं.
This is like, I would say, basics. We have just laid the foundation for actual AI to come into play, is what I would say. But we have to allow these things to grow a little so that we can understand more about it.
Okay, last question for today, because there are too many questions even now. We will take them in the next live stream that they come on. What is your policy on drugs? Please don't give Portland and Portugal examples. Both are hellholes. I have personal experience. Again, ground realities from Portugal and Portland.
Netherlands को भी तो बोल रहा था.
Yeah. Netherlands is fine. I mean, like, anything? I would say anything man-made, to a certain extent. Yeah, it's a.
Let me give you the argument of a commie friend of mine who is actually not pro weed legalization, marijuana legalization, even though he's a big-time stoner himself. He says that it will prevent the poor rickshaw puller from getting or being able to afford marijuana, because if it's legalized, then it will be again a rich man's game, and no one will be able to afford.
See, that is the rich man's game right now, right? Why? Because there are regulations. Why? Because you have to buy a license.
There's mafia and there's unhealthy marijuana. There's spike marijuana.
You have to pay GST. You have to pay income tax on it. You have to pay all these things. In the libertarian system, all these things don't exist. No, so if it is legal, if anything is legalized, you will just have anybody, a rickshaw puller will be able to afford it. No problems.
Someone will find a way to make it cheaper. वो भी तो बात है.
Yeah. Right now, it's impossible to make anything like this because of all these regulations that are there. But in a libertarian system, don't worry.
और दूसरी बात ये, मतलब कि हम जैसे अब अल्कोहल की एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन की भी बात करें, तो जैसे आप बार वगैरह में जाते हो, जो रेगुलेशन को फॉलो करते हैं, वहाँ पे लिमिट होता है कि इससे ज्यादा आप इतने टाइम में आप इससे ज्यादा शॉट्स आपको नहीं दे सकते, और जब आपका अल्कोहल लेवल इतना हो जाएगा तो आपको रोका जाएगा. उसके बाद फिर थोड़ा टाइम बाद अगर डाउन हो जाएगा तो मतलब प्राइवेट बॉडीज खुद बेटर ख्याल रख सकती है. कस्टमर हमारे पास बार बार आता रहे, वो कुछ चाहिए कि कस्टमर की डेथ हो जाए. और दूसरी बात, इंश्योरेंस कंपनीज दे विल पुश कि भाई ऐसे कैसे तुम कर रहे हो.
Yeah, if certain things are causing health issues, it will be directly tied to your insurance company. So if they do a blood test and they are finding these things, so automatically these things will get balanced out and regulated.
Abhay saying these guys are going to the extreme mainly on theoretical basis, because all the questions are mind-numbingly extreme, insanely hypothetical. It's more hypothetical than the idea of libertarians coming to power. Therefore, the answers have to be like that. In the Netherlands, wait, where did the question go? It is against the law to possess, sell, or produce drugs. However, the Netherlands tolerates the sale of soft drugs in quote-unquote coffee shops. A coffee shop is an establishment where cannabis is sold subject to certain strict conditions, but no alcoholic drinks are sold or consumed.
Yeah, hopefully one day they'll become libertarian and we'll see a much better system. That's not so.
थाईलैंड में भी है, थाईलैंड में कैनबिस
Yeah,
अलाउड है, ऐसा कोई वहां पे मेरे को कोई वो नहीं दिख गया होगी, वो बहुत ज्यादा लॉ एंड ऑर्डर खराब हो गया, कुछ नहीं होता.
And especially with weed, how can even law and order problems exist? You are going to be stoned out of your mind, sleeping on a sofa. How are you going to do the illegal things and law and order problematic things? Okay. All the rest of the questions for the next day. Okay. Thank you guys for joining. We are touching up 3 hours right now. Good night, guys. Thank you for joining. Thank you for asking the questions.
Thank you.
Good night, Anup. Good night, Tushar.
And 29th, do come if you have the time.
29th, Innovate, Gurgaon, March 29th at 11:30 a.m. Do join and come in there. Let's talk.
Okay. All the people living around Gurgaon, make sure you all reach there. And if you are far away from Gurgaon, make sure to go and support free markets. Good night, guys.
যদি সবাই ফিরে যায় ওরে ওরে ও ভাগা সবাই ফিরে যায় যদি গহন পথে যাওয়ার কালে কেউ ফিরে না যায় তবে পথের কাটা তুই রক্ত মাখা চরণ তলে একলা দলরে তুই রক্ত মাখা চরণ তলে একলা দলরে যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে যদি আলো না ধরে ওরে ওরে ও ভাগা আলো না ধরে যদি ঝড় বাদলে আধার রাতে দুয়ার দেয় ঘরে তবে বজ্রানলে আপন বুকের পাঁজর জ্বালিয়ে নিয়ে একলা চলো রে আপন বুকের পাঁজর জ্বালিয়ে নিয়ে একলা চলো রে যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে একলা চলো একলা চলো একলা চলো একলা চলো